And just a side note, as we're settling in, these microphones are very sensitive. So if we have like crunchy, too much of that, it'll pick up on that and be distracting for people attending remotely. And Councilor Fry, I'm going to rely on you to give us a heads up if you're having trouble. Because if you're having trouble, the public is also. All right. Thank you. Feel free to continue.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing us to come before you today. We've got a couple of exciting items that we'd like to share with you. Agenda item A1 is the CXT restroom building for Haddon Park. There's been some inner working dynamics of trying to get that figured out and trying to stay on schedule. We're going to be, that building will be delivered off of Lafayette and then boomed into place. So it'll be kind of an interesting project nonetheless. Happy to answer any questions you may have regarding that before we move on to agenda item B.
You mean number 2? Yeah. Okay, and this did not go through Public Works, correct? This is just, okay.
No, sorry.
No Public Works. Okay.
No.
All right, councilors, questions? Yep. Anna.
It's Haddon Park.
It's your baby. Yeah.
So I was wondering why you chose this CXT. I mean, obviously the price is great, but you chose a much different restroom for Blueberry, Kiwanis, Manette, and Warren Playfield. So I was wondering why the virtue of this one appears to be that it is better able to withstand the rigors of vandalism.
Okay, great question. So this decision was made before I got here, but my understanding of things is that from a price point perspective, is that we went out to bid and did a price comparison. We were looking for something that would withstand vandalism and would hopefully last the test of time for a while. And this seemed to be a great model for that. If Glenn, you have anything further that you would like to add to that? Feel free.
It just basically came down to cost. The ROM Tech restroom, which has been used at the other restrooms that you mentioned, and then the Public Restroom Company has been used at Lions. We did a cost comparison of the three, and the CXT restroom, which is a prefab restroom, that was the cheapest option.
So here, and I hope council is okay with this line of questioning, but for the people who used to use the park and hope to return to it, a bathroom that's of slightly better quality, that has more virtues than able to withstand the rigors of vandalism, would be a preferable outcome. It appears from this that there's money in the budget for such a restroom, but that I just have these 2 pages. So if you could clarify this.
So both Romtex and CXT buildings are like what they call a CMU brick building. One of them is prefabricated as opposed to the Romtech, where this one will be built off-site and then boomed into place, where usually Romtech will be built on-site, which would be another component of a contract. So trying to keep that separate and for the ease of use, it was determined that this was the way to go.
I'm just going to ask a follow-up question, which is, so was this the only reason that it was chosen was for the price? Is it user-friendly, I guess is the question I want to ask.
I think all those things were taken into consideration, yes.
This has apparently not been used at any other park in Bremerton? Has it been used anywhere nearby?
They are
County,
at the county, but we don't have any in the city, but they are a state company as well. I believe that they're out of Spokane.
They're out of Nampa, Idaho, or the manufacturer as far.
The representatives that we're working with are out of Spokane.
Okay. Again, my question was, is there not enough money in the budget for the better restroom?
Yes, and what other features would you be looking for? So we could think about that and take that into consideration in the future.
not looking for anything except that, hadn't have as nice a restroom as other parks, but.
And I think we'll get that.
Jane?
Are there any other differences between these and the existing restrooms in other parks besides prefabbed? And does it have every other feature? So in the future, is this something that you'd probably look at for other upgrades?
Yes.
And it was considered for Blueberry. Oh, I'm so sorry, my bad.
Jane, were you,
I'm done.
okay, and then Mike?
I'm sure this was said at the beginning, but what's the cost of this?
It's in the packet, so,
I believe it was 25 and change.
So that's about what it costs for us to build the other one. Well, that's what it used to cost for us to build the other one.
And it was gonna be significantly more with the other ones. And this price point was actually cheaper to go with this restroom. I think it was like at 170 something.
178 without the larger crane. Yeah.
But then we, because of the project, we didn't want to get into the project and pour brand new asphalt and concrete walkways. And then all of a sudden had a boom, try to get heavy equipment in there to place a restroom. So we chose to come off of Lafayette. We worked with manufacturer, and this is what we came up with as the best practice for doing so. So it'll be boomed in. The contractor will then hook up the services for it, which will be the electrical and the plumbing and things of that nature.
Eric?
Yeah, so it looks like the other two designs have a shed roof, and this one has a gable, right? Or traditional. One question I have is the pad. It says gravel. It's not a concrete pad that it's going to sit on. It's going to sit on inside the restroom. That's going to be concrete, right? Okay, so, well, because it's prefab, so it's precast. The floor is precast. Everything's one unit. It's going to sit on a gravel pad that you're going to.
Exactly.
Okay.
That the contractor will.
Okay. Otherwise, the restroom size is a little bit bigger than the first one. Not near as big as the ROM Tech. I assume these are ADA, right? Okay. And then the roof. So looking at the roofs, are the other one metal roofs and this one says 312? Is this like a comp shingle,
312 would be pitch.
Right, I understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it doesn't say on either one. So normally that wouldn't be a comp roof, that shed one, because of the pitch, that would be a metal roof, in my opinion. But do you know?
I believe it is. For
There's a
certain.
composite.
The one that's the CXT, is that gonna be a metal roof? Or I'm just trying to,
It's not metal.
okay. Trying to, why is CXT so much cheaper than the other precast? I'm not against it. I'm just trying to figure out what we're lacking in features, other than one is almost twice as much as the other. Can you differentiate it for me? Besides the comp roof versus probably a metal roof?
Like I said,
Better
predates
value?
me a little bit, so.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. I'm just, we're the final arbiters.
First one, the public restroom company, they have some sort of a product that's a copyright or trying to say product they use on the floor and the walls, and so that is a more expensive building than CXT, but that is also prefab.
Are we both say the anti-graffiti coating is optional? Or are we going to get the anti-graffiti coating on this? And use the other one at Lions Park and at the middle one, Romtech at Blueberry, Quantus, Manette, Warren, and now CXT we've never used. And I understand you said you're new to this. So was it just based on price or was it just overall value? How did you select CXT?
It was mainly value and price, both of those together. It's an accessible building that has the same fixtures inside that we'll see at our other restroom. We wanted a storage area in the middle for our playground program, store
Okay.
items, so we needed to go with a little bit larger restroom.
Okay.
And it's a kit, so it makes it more efficient for them to build, in their factory.
So the other one, looks like you said, CMU concrete masonry units. What is the cladding on the CXT? The siding?
It's board and bat and the top, and we wanted to actually make the facades look a little bit softened a little bit, so we have a different texture on the top, vertical, and horizontal.
Okay, so arguably it should look nicer than the other masonry. That's the other ones look like pump stations. To be quite frank.
Yeah.
This is architecturally, I think, you have a great great eye for design.
We're also gonna paint them different colors.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
Jeff, do you have any? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry if I missed it. WSST, what is that?
Washington State Field.
Tax, oh, tax, thank you, okay. So it's 109K for the purchase, and then the difference between that and the requested 178 and change is the install.
No, that was the base bid, the 109, and there were all the add-ons that we put onto it, brought the price up to 178.
Oh, okay, the anti-graffiti.
And then the install with the larger crane off of Lafayette brought it to 225.
Okay, so, gotcha, so this is just for the purchase, the 178 purchase, and the difference between that and the 225 is gonna come out of the same grant, or? I'm just looking at the motion says for 178, 941.
Recommend, okay, so maybe that was the update, huh? It does say 225, 141 in red, updated. I apologize.
No,
So,
good, thank you. That answers that question. So then the other ones would also be, so then if okay, so we're looking at 225 and the public restroom company has install included at 299. Okay, so they're actually closer in cost than it would initially look like. The other thing that jumped out to me is the warranty of the public restroom company having 20-year structural. There's only 1 year on the CXT. I don't know if we have any information on these have issues for repair that will be on the hook for. And it's weird because of the longevity. It's 50 years for the first one, but for CXT 45 to 70, so longer, but they're not giving a warranty with it. I don't know. Yeah,
Not exactly sure.
okay. That's the main thing I wanted to poke at. And then to ask, I know this came before your time, but any idea if Parks Commission weighed in on this since it's going in the park?
Yes, we have brought this to the.
Oh, okay.
Commissioners.
Awesome. Okay. Do they have any significant comment or preference or?
I didn't receive any feedback from you.
That's it for now.
okay. Well, I bet you were super excited to see a lower cost bathroom. I know that I remember your presentation on Haddon and the survey that people didn't really realize there was a bathroom. So now you're
Right.
going to make it intentional. Like, this is our bathroom. Hello. So what color? What color is it going to be?
Sort of a beige and the sage green, and then the doors will be like a forest.
Okay. It's not going to blend in too much. It's going to be obvious it's a restroom, right? Yeah. Okay, great. And I think all the other counselors pointed out things that I was going to ask. To Counselor Coughlin's point, I just want to make sure that I'm clear that you were thinking, Counselor Coughlin, that, I'm sorry, Jeff, we're in the study session. Hey, you were like, it's closer in price than we thought, but would there also be a markup relatable to the other two in the same way that there's a markup on this one, state sales tax, et cetera?
Yeah, and at the time that we got all the cost comparisons, we didn't have like the full install cost of all of them. So like, with the CXT, we didn't know that, the install cost, what that would be with a larger crane and so forth. So at the time that we costed them all out, CXT was a lot cheaper than the other two, and for the value is better.
Well, I know that y'all are on a shoestring budget, so hopefully, this, remaining funds could go towards something else needed, right? So, and counselors, any other questions, Anna?
Yeah. Jeff,
I'm gonna go to you, Anna.
Great.
All right, go right ahead.
okay, so, the boom is coming off of Lafayette. As of course, you know, there's a bunch of mature lime trees there, Tilia cordata, they're blooming right now. Or they were this morning. No trees will be cut down to get at to deliver the restroom via boom from Lafayette.
I know that there's a few small trees. I'm not sure if they'll be in the way or not, but we also have a replanting schedule to go along with that. I don't believe that's going to be an issue. There's going to be several working components with that. We're also working with PSC there's going to be an impact because of power lines and things of that nature. So there's several components that are going into this, and that's why we also chose the larger crane. So it'd be less impactful to the park.
Thank you, and this is all coordinated with the new sidewalk that's going in along Lafayette. Final question.
Thanks.
That I can't speak to. Public Works.
I'm just making sure that it's not, that the crane is not going to be on top of the brand new sidewalk.
No, we're booming from the street itself.
Counselor Fry, I'm sorry, I forgot you were online. Do you have any questions about this, or are you copacetic with it?
No, I don't have any questions. I'm glad the whole context of why is this different? It's Haddon Park, and we have some sensitivity around equity with that. And I feel reassured that this was a good direction. So it will be something that Haddon Park will be proud of, I'm sure.
Thank you. Jeff?
My quick follow-up was your good comment, so the grant, which by the way, kudos, fantastic, you have 350,000 grant. Is that just for the restroom, or that can be used? That can be used on other things. Okay.
Yeah, that grant was supposed to be used for the sports court, parking lot, restroom, and accessible pathways.
Okay, so any money we save on this restroom purpose can go towards, or will go towards those improvements it had. Okay.
All right. Counselors, how do we want to treat this? Consent? Consent, okay. Now we're on to item A2, grant agreement with Washington State Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation for Ivy Green Cemetery fence replacement. Was this discussed in any committees? No? Okay. All right, so take it away. You take it away, the fence.
So as you stated, it's the Department of Archaeological and Historic Preservation grant. This is no match grant. But we definitely need council consent and approval for this grant. The original thought was we were going to replace the fencing along Naval Avenue. Learning that Public Works is doing some work along Naval and doing some improvements, we decided to shift focus a little bit over towards 15th Street and reallocate the funding for the fence line along 15th Street.
Mm.
So I think we're going to get, double our bang for the buck here, is because we're going to get a grant for 15th, and then we've got Public Works also doing improvements along Naval. So I think a couple of good things are going to happen.
All right. Michael?
I just don't want to assume, but the Public Works redoing the sidewalks and all that will replace the fence or upgrade the fence. Okay, just wanted to say those words aloud. So thanks.
Okay. Jane?
Are you putting in the same kind of chain link fence?
It'll be color-coded black.
So are you going to do some grading before you put it in? Because now it looks like it's next to impossible for them to maintain that well, because there's a steep little hill between the fence and the sidewalk. So is that part of the plan to do that? Or are you just gonna, is it new post and wire or and fabric? So you might want to talk to your staff, see if they have any ideas, because it looks awful right now. I'm glad you got the grant. Is that going to pay for how much of it? of the replacement on 15th. Is it gonna cover all of it?
We're real close. We're within a couple $1,000 of our quote right now.
That's pretty good price then. Okay. All right, thank you.
Counselors, how should we treat this? And,
Consent.
all right, thank you very much.
Well done on the no match grant.
Yeah. Oh, I love no match grant. Yeah.
We all love them.
Yes. Okay, contracts administrator Melinda Monroe is here to present items 3 and 4. Number 3, A3 is tower license and identification. I had to slow down for that word. Agreement with Day Management Corps, DBA Day Wireless Systems to allow placement of wireless equipment at Cheryl Street. Was this discussed in any committees? Finance. Michael, any thoughts, any lingering questions?
I don't remember it.
Remember it?
Okay, it was briefly discussed and
We discussed, but.
Yeah, I mean,
it's in there, but.
Like months
pretty
ago?
boring. Oh,
I think it was pretty simple, but
It-
it didn't want to.
so it sounds like there's no lingering questions because you don't even remember it.
A small tower pole, but it was like,
All right, Ms. Monroe, take it away.
Yeah, so we are wishing to enter into a license agreement, with Day Wireless Corporation, for the purchase of equipment, antennas and repeaters on our shading tower at Cheryl Street. And this will generate some, extra funds for actually will go to our facilities division. It will be in the building out there. And maintaining that property. It is a 10-year agreement and includes the CPI, but doesn't have a.
All right, counselors, can I just defer to you? Do you have any questions, Michael?
no, we did ask, like, is this a comment, the going rate for what we see and things like that? We didn't have any issues with it, but there's not a lot of juicy details to share. We were good with it.
Great. Counselors, any other questions? Eric?
So Melinda, I seem to recall years ago, we had a consultant that we hired and did we just use his work papers or is his guidance still good? We didn't have to consult with a consultant or did we consult?
We did, and
All
we do
right.
still use him, and he is excellent. So we do use him regularly for.
And so this contract received his blessing as far as this is the market rate, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, yeah, we did go through that because this is a placement for equipment only versus, our other leases are actual tower leases. So this one is less than that. If you do a comparison with our other leases, you're going to see this less, but it is like 4 pieces of equipment, maybe 6 pieces of equipment on the tower itself. So you seem to approve that that would be comparable in our
Okay. And this is an exclusive, so we have other providers. My understanding of towers is you can have multiple providers on one tower that each have separate section of the tower, a separate level. That's how it all works.
Yeah, that's right. So we have KCARC out there. So they'll be notified. This is not exclusive and
Okay.
as a part of the pay, not here with KCARC. So
No further questions.
Just can ask real quick, looking up this company, I couldn't tell if is it the cell company or it looks like they did some, like emergency radio work. Or,
they probably do a little bit of all of that. It is we just
Okay.
equipment placement.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Can't tell you all they do, but
but more commercial than,
definitely.
no, it's good.
Counselors, any other questions? Okay, shall I suggest consent for this? Okay, thank you. And Ms. Monroe, I was just actually looking up where Cheryl Street is in Bremerton. But the next item up is A4, resolution to repeal resolution number 3345 and to establish updated MRSC small public works roster processes for the city of Bremerton. Would this have been discussed in any committees?
Just also went to.
Okay, all right. And Finance Chair, do you remember this one?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's almost like a housekeeping, right? We're just adopting the new roster, right?
Essentially,
Something like that.
we were required to make this change to our resolution. If we wanted to maintain the use of MRSC rosters. There were code changes, RCW changes. So we're adopting it to our process.
I'll get a housekeeping item. Counselors, any other questions about this? Anna? Yeah. And then Jeff?
Okay. Thank you for the presentation. So everything else has a 100K cap, right? If it's under 100K, doesn't need to be brought to council. But this has a 150K cap.
So this is actually referring to a different cap. So if it's over 100,000, we're going to do. This 150,000 is related to how we actually procure for it, and who we invite. So any public work project that any public work we perform that's under 350,000, we can use the simplified version of procuring. We can use MRSC rosters, and if it's under 150,000, we can direct contract. Given a few other conditions, they've added a few conditions into the code for that, but basically it's how we procure and how we use the roster to procure. But if it's over 100,000, you're going to see it.
Good. And I'd like to applaud the inclusion of numerous minority and women-owned businesses in this. And good luck.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff?
So I thought I saw, looking into this, that there was a new RCW in 2023 that established. So I don't think in previous years we approved this, but is there like a big overhaul to the process, or is it?
There have been many changes.
Okay.
I would say this particular process, I would say it is a pretty large overhaul. They did basically RCW 39 before 155 is now basically gone, which was the RCW that we referenced previously, and we're now using 390451 through 152. And there are a lot of similarities to the old process. Still, anything under 350,000 that we can use the roster service for. That means that we don't have to have a public bid opening and go through many of the steps and the time that those processes require. But there are a lot of changes. So
Okay.
It's been statewide. There's a new manual actually issued.
So to us, not necessarily a big change in what comes to, or how the city bids, but internal to the process of the small works roster and how that's managed internally. Now you see it, there's.
Yeah. It's much more about how I see it
Okay.
than anyone else, but maybe, but how we document the file will be different in some ways. I mean, we still, in a lot of ways, actually, even for our project managers, it will still be the same.
Okay.
We're going to pull a list from our roster. We're going to invite maybe a different amount of different people. That will be the new part. But we do have workflows for that and project memos that we work through. And we'll become, kind of like the old process used to be. Sure.
Makes sense. Looks good.
Council, consent? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Monroe. Okay, next up, I'm welcoming Engineering Project Manager David Dinkoon to present item A5, contract with Redside Construction LLC for the Evergreen Rotary Park Boat Ramp Repair Project. Was this discussed in any committees?
Yes.
Public Works, do you have any lingering questions or anything you wanted to make sure that they followed up on? And what's the summary?
The only thing I wanted to know is if the Port of Bremerton ever agreed to give some money towards this.
Well, fortunately, we have an engineer here to give us an update, or I can. We've sent letters, we've corresponded, we have no response back, cost share.
Originally, this was funded by them and now it's failed. So we're hoping to get some.
So they bailed on the funding and now it's up to us to do it? Is that what you're kind of saying, or?
Well, we own it now, so it's a
Okay.
danger, we have to fix it.
Okay, Mr. Jin Kuhn, go right ahead, and then I'm sure Eric has a historical lesson for us after your presentation, which is wonderful.
I think folks are all aware of the problem. I've included photos in the packet. And I just want to scroll through real quick. Listing south side problem, south side. That's about a 2-foot gap at worst. Go, please. And here's the fix. So these are pre-procured ultra blocks, and they're currently sitting in the parking lot waiting to be installed. And that's the contract that's before you to install these. There's one more slide below this. What you'll see at the surface of these bench blocks. So the narrow portion will be basically form a curve up against the boat ramp with a 6-inch reveal. And then we'll transition to new housing. Try to make it look as good as we can. And coincidentally, this was done on the old small roster process. And I sent the solicitation to 6. I got 1 response. Unfortunately, it's within the budget we have set aside.
Should we go to Eric for a historical lesson and then back to Eugene for
I
no
don't have
questions?
any other
Okay, great.
questions.
Eric, give us
Okay.
the history.
Sure. So, David, do you know when this was built? You remember?
16 or 12.
Okay, so I was there for the dedication ceremony. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the Port of Bremerton owned that, and they got a grant. And after they get the grant and had it rebuilt, they deeded it to the city of Bremerton. No longer owned by the port. I think at some point we talked about this last year when I was on Public Works, and we were looking to see if there's any kind of agreement for like a warranty coverage or whatnot. But I just remember that, I want to say Larry Stokes was there, Larry Bowles was there. Basically, it was, okay, this is our gift to you, City of Bremerton. It is now yours. We gave you a brand new dock. It's yours. I don't think the Port of Bremerton owes us anything. We got a new dock, and now it's ours. It's been ours, and we got to fix it. But I remember, Ned, you said something last year, I think, about, well, there might be something in there that we could ask the port. So I'll let you follow up with that.
So the transfer process is not something that are supposed to happen that haven't, like there's supposed to be a written acceptance. I'm not sure if that's fundamentally necessary when you read the agreement. So I've talked to Kylie about this a bit. At the end of the day, they constructed something and gave us something that wasn't really constructed well enough to withstand the scour effect that occurs, right?
Okay.
So when I've met with them, they, one of their commissioners seemed amenable to like being here to help. But the correspondence that we've sent hasn't really resulted in any return correspondence that says, here's how we'll help. That doesn't mean the conversation's necessarily over, but it hasn't, like we haven't gotten a response. So I'd just say that. So I'm still hopeful that maybe we can work with them and find some middle ground for some compensation. It wasn't in their budget this year, so they'd have to be a next year kind of a thing anyway, even if they did something. It's more in the spirit of cooperation, collaboration, and we see that this is a problem that maybe we should share, and I'm hoping that they see the light on that. So that's kind of where we're at.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's fine if you want to work out an agreement with that. But to me, if someone gives you something and 6 years later we find a design fault, well, shame on us for not saying before you gave it to us, hey, there's a design fault, we're not accepting that.
We weren't really involved in the inspect, like they delivered the project, we just accepted it. So it's not like we did some forensic review of the design, and it's kind of it's interesting that The armoring hasn't moved as much as it does, because it's not like there's a river flowing by, like the Narrows moves
Yeah.
pretty fast, but there's some scour effect of that bow launch acts as a groin, which might have like caused strange eddy currents or something. It's odd that that rock moves the way it does, but it definitely hasn't stayed in place and it's caused undermining. And we need to, we're focused on fixing it and saving it. So that's something that has to happen,
Yeah.
or we're just going to lose the whole thing.
Mhm.
The relationship with the port, we have a good one, but we need to figure out if there's going to be any kind of financial sharing of the responsibility.
Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, fair enough, let's take care of it. We gotta get this fixed, and then you, Public Works and the port can, we don't need to be involved in to get money, whatever, the attorney can be involved,
Yeah,
whatever.
we'll see where it goes.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me.
Consent.
Consent. Oh, Anna, go right ahead.
Sorry, no worries.
But it does sound like consensus is consent.
Yeah, I just had a question, which is like, I feel sure that if there is money to be gotten from the Port Commission, we will get that money from them.
Well, I don't know if I have that kind of confidence, but I mean, we're working on it and we're hopeful, so we'll just leave it there and see where it goes.
Okay.
So maybe we'll come back with good news, and maybe this will just be, we took care of it and it's over with.
Okay, and I hope this isn't irrelevant, but it gives a lot more importance to Jane's idea of like charging to use that bow launch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had 2 comments, and that was,
Oh.
no questions, you're good. That was one of them, though, of like, I think we should keep an eye on that going forward. Of $5 a donation over 10 years could add up towards maintenance for it, especially folks using the bigger boats. But I did want to say out loud, though, even though the one bid, it was within the engineer's estimate, just because I always look for that as a sanity check when we only get one bid, so.
Consent?
Consent.
Consent. Wonderful. And we are near about the end of our agenda briefings. And so last but certainly not least, we have Managing Engineer Janelle Hitch to present item 6, resolution to approve utility easement relinquishment at the Sinclair Ridge Phase 1 subdivision. Was this discussed at any committees? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hitch. Go right ahead when you're ready.
So we're working on a relinquishment of an easement at the Sinclair Ridge development. And I'm just gonna try to give you some background here on why we have a easement out there and why we think it's okay to relinquish it. So this is just a vicinity map trying to give you an idea of where we're at. Puget Sound, the Sinclair Inlet is to the north. We're kind of over by Gorse and Anderson Hill Road and Anderson Creek. Really familiar. Then this is sorry, it's not very big, but shows where the easement is. The north is to the left. The blue is the easement that's existing, and it's overlaid the Sinclair Ridge development. Originally, when this easement got put in, it was for a water transmission main back in 2002, before Sinclair Ridge development was considered. It was a different development being considered at the time, and we thought we would want to get our sewer main or our water main put in this location. Subsequently, we actually put in the water main on Anderson Hill Road and Clifton Road, so we really no longer need this easement. Then in the last couple of years, Sinclair Ridge has come through, owns the subdivision out there and actually built the road and utilities serve the subdivision. So there is water, sewer, wastewater, everything in there already. So we don't see a need for the easement any longer. We have adequate water transmission mains and water mains. So why we're coming to you is because the RCW requires the release of the easement must be determined by a resolution of the legislative authority after a public hearing. So we're asking for the adoption of the resolution that I put in the package. I think it's fine to release this. We won't have any support.
Okay, counselors?
I'm having a difficult, oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm having a difficult time. It appears to me like the easement runs parallel to Anderson Creek, to the world of unplatted, on the east side
Yeah,
of the housing tract.
So the easement's right in the middle there of between No Name Creek and Anderson Creek.
Hang on.
Right?
Is this the easement?
No, it's the blue that's right in the
Okay.
middle. That's it.
I didn't update my packet after 11
Well, it's
a.m.
not blue in our
not-
packet.
No, it's
blue in
not.
the
I tried,
packet.
I tried to make it blue just to show it a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not making any money from this?
We did receive, the roadway was dedicated, we got the water and the sewer and stormwater was all, installed with the Sinclair Ridge, but no, we're not getting.
So why would we get rid of it? Right,
Also, if we keep it, the Sinclair Ridge will not be able to develop their property, which means that we don't obtain any of the tax base from those houses.
okay. And whatever body, this final question, whatever bodies like DNR and DOE are okay with this land development so close to Anderson Creek?
It's already, the infrastructure.
Okay, so to recap, we're getting rid of this easement because we don't need it and we won't make a dime from it.
Jane.
So in what is the platted road, I can't see what the name is.
So it's,
Road B.
Road
right?
B.
So within Road B, they have already put in all the city of Bremerton water mains, sewer mains, and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So have they built the houses yet, or they've just
Yeah.
put the utilities in?
There's one.
Got it somewhere. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Counselors, any other questions? I'll just ask a quick one. If not, okay. And so is this the only easement that we have for this property?
Yeah, everything else was either dedicated or doesn't require an easement.
Okay, and we just really don't need this easement anymore because the services are already in place in an alternative route, like an alternative.
Yeah, so they reconfigured the lots and
Okay,
from 2002 when the plat was done in 2018.
I guess my lingering question is just, I'm curious about the process of that. I mean, developers can reconfigure. I mean, I guess were they like assuming that we would be okay with this easement change?
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at it, basically they simply shifted the location.
I mean, it's just a few. I mean, I see why it's, yeah. Okay, I don't have any other concerns or questions. Counselor, oh, Michael.
Well, just trying to be clear, because I'm surprised at some of the questions I'm hearing, but it's not our land. We got an easement in there, so we could do the construction to install pipes.
Right.
We didn't do it. We're not gonna do it. We should release the easement. Okay, just,
Agreed.
there's no pipes there we need to access in the future. Okay.
All right, consent?
Public hearing?
Public hearing, I
Oh, yeah.
apologize, public hearing. Public hearing and then,
Public hearing.
and then, yes, we're all good for public hearing. We've asked. Oh, I think I need to hydrate. Okay, I think you are released. Thank you so much. Yeah. So,
How many lots is that?
it's a
30?
dozen.
40?
Yeah.
More than.
Man, yeah. They have numbers on them.
So
Oh, here we go.
I want to admit that I kind of
76.
failed to ensure that we had supplementary information in our packet for our next series of discussions under general counsel. I have hard copies for my item, but I don't see an example for item number 2, so we can move on to that. But I just wanted to say that I think that I probably should have checked on that, and I apologize. So that we don't have any other supplemental materials for our general counsel business. But first up, Denise Fry, who
Yeah, we've got some slides. Christine created some slides for us. This is your friendly LTAC chair coming around as we do once a year to get input from the council as to how to prioritize within the LTAC parameters, applications and funding for this year. LTAC, you may remember, is going under some study right now, and the findings and recommendations will be brought to council sometime soon. And then I would imagine that we're going to get together again and discuss it as well. So I guess what I'm saying is we're going to be making some probably, I mean, who knows? I don't know what's going to be coming down the pike. I'm glad to deliver to the committee any of your recommendations. The slides, I think, Christine, can we get those up, please?
Okay, Christine, and just, I don't have anything. Let me see if I have any messages.
She said that she'd be ready. There are, I think, 3 slides that we had.
Okay. And Mike, you don't have any of those? Okay.
I'm working on it right now.
Oh, thank you. There she is. Okay.
Basically, it's just to kind of remind you what the process is and what the application looks like currently. And then just for some context, how the funding was decided, what the decisions were last year. That's not really up for discussion, but certainly any influence you want to make this year in the committee's recommendation, any priorities. You may remember that we included diversity, the celebration of diversity in one of the parameters. So that came from council. So it's that type of thing that we're looking for.
Okay. How are we doing on the slides, Christine? I think she's working on it. What I'm going to do, and I'm just going to announce what this item is. Item B1, first up, was LTAC Committee Chair Denise Fry to start a discussion on Lodging Tax Advisory Committee 25 application criteria. And while we're waiting for those slides to come up, what I'm going to do is forward you an email that I got from City of Paulsville representative for an example of their Bluebills contract. And
there we go. There we go. Great. I see it. I see it. And a reminder, because we know people tune into study sessions, the people on LTAC have served quite a while, some of them, and it's always good to get fresh perspectives. So I want to put the word out. Please let us know. There's applications online. The big parameters are all here. It's a good committee to be on, and if you're involved, it's a way to have some influence. So there's the web address, and hope to see some applications. All right, next slide. Thanks, Christine. This is what we did last year. This gives you an idea of the types of things that we do. Let's see, I don't see the Islander,
this looks like
2024.
Yeah.
It looks like it's last year's allocations.
Yeah. right, but last year we anyway, we under the sun should be in there for money, which is what had me concerned. Let's go ahead and bring that other one up, though, the application. Christine, you had it, I think, up there.
Would you, Christine, would it be okay to share this with Mike Riley as well?
Let's have it.
Thank you so much for
There we go.
being back.
Yeah,
there.
thank you, Christine. Yeah, that third one, here we go. This is what we had conveyed last year. Let's get back to that. We lost it.
Denise, can you pause for just a moment? Christine,
Yeah.
can you please email this document to Mike Riley right now? Thank you so
Yes.
much. I appreciate you. And so, just to kind of, you're going to give us what the application criteria is on that slide 3. And
right
then,
now, and then what we'd like from you is your input, knowing that there's going to be quite a bit of input coming at us in a short period of time. So.
And so I've dedicated 10 minutes, but I'm not going to start that 10 minutes of discussion until we actually have that criteria back up on the screen. And what you're looking for from us is a discussion to talk about what we do and don't like about the criteria.
Yeah, anything you'd
for the
like to see changed for this year. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah, of course.
So on the volunteer application form, Denise, does one have to satisfy all 3 criteria? Operate a vacation rental or hotel?
No.
Okay, so just one of them.
Oh, yeah, like we have hoteliers, and then there are recipients. It's a balance between those two, and like Airbnb or whatever would be a hotelier, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you need volunteers in both categories?
Well,
We're
it's not necessarily that we need, it's there've been some people who were on that we've depended on for quite a number of years. It was pointed out, we only have the 2 hoteliers are both representing downtown hotels, and not in the outlying areas. So we just like to see, some fresh applications, and see what we can come up with, more representational.
Applaud your dedication to inclusivity.
Got that, Jeff? Out of your council report? You plug in LTAC volunteerism?
Yeah.
Huh? All right. Thank you, Mike. So we have, can we go to slide 3 on that? It would be nice too if, for an update, either Denise or Christine, if y'all could send us an updated LTAC allocation list, and just a link to it if it's published, but it looks like that might have been some outdated data. So if you could follow up with council on just an updated list for the allocation.
I could be wrong about it, but in glancing, I was looking.
What's on there?
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now this has been discussed, over the years, but this is what bubbled up last year for this year. And so we're looking for the same types of things or just reiteration.
Okay, so this is a discussion this did come out of a discussion we had last year. So let's just kind of go around and figure out if there's anything we want to change, or let's just kind of go around the table if that's okay. And Jane and then Eric.
I'm going to make some notes too.
Great, thank you.
You go.
I have a concern if somebody or something is already being funded by the city, that then we also give them LTAC money. Like, not picking on them, but for instance, the Navy Museum.
Can I ask you though, there's multiple different agencies and organizations that receive funding from multiple sources. You can't survive unless you get multiple sources of funding.
Yeah, but the multiple source would be the city.
Well, CDBG.
I think, and I also think that that might be one of the many things that come up for serious discussion that might be, we might need legal involved in, whether it's, state law, that type of thing. So, but it's definitely something that's come up before, Jane, and, is worthy of at least discussion.
Yeah, it needs to be looked at.
And just to set a standard, and that I just started and I didn't really express, but I'd like it to be communicated for this, since it is a discussion. So don't look to me to call on you. We're just going to discuss it for 10 minutes.
In that case, I'll jump in. So criteria could be, like an added criteria would be not receiving, I don't know, something about not receiving in-kind contributions from the city already, or work on the wording there.
Are you waiting? I think that's why we have a human group. I think we need to give them some very broad vision of what we're hoping to see this do. And then we have humans who can help make those decisions. Like some of us are thinking of like very specific places. When you started talking about that, I thought of two that you didn't even bring up. Like, so, and then I thought, well, why would they not be eligible? So it seemed odd to not make them eligible.
I think my point is that I wanted to make sure other groups aren't being left out because certain groups are getting multiple pieces of the pie.
We funded everybody last year. Everybody that qualified got money.
So like maybe demonstrating financial need is a broader,
I'm not calling on you.
broader
No,
thing.
you just free form talk. Just speak out on
I'm
it.
gonna get out of bullet point, like, because the application right now, Denise, doesn't have, I mean, you have to justify what you're spending the money on, what you're proposing to spend it on.
Right.
But I don't think there's anything in there that says like, how old are you? Is there anything that says how old are you funded? What are your funding sources?
I believe that they do ask what other sponsorships or something, but I'd have to defer to Christine. I don't have the application in front of me. But this does come up every year. And I suppose what I want to say is we aren't going to solve this tonight, that particular point. And I don't think we should without legal representation, without legal weighing in on this. We certainly don't want to exclude anybody without legal being involved. And so I would say we're looking for more, how do we get the applications that we really want? So I think the BIPOC suggestion last year was really valid, and the committee, jumped all over that. New events has always been a part. Are you saying maybe financial need, but then are we funding failures? I mean, I don't know. How desperate are you for money?
I'd like to speak. Have you guys finished this part of the discussion? Just
I think it's
this
just one
topic.
topic. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Attempting to. I thought that Michael's point that there's humans and that we refer things to humans is a good point. Projects considered by LTAC should be projects that make people want to come live here or want to come hang out here and want to tell other people that this is a cool place to live or hang out. Bridge Blast, according to the Kitsap Sun article, did not have that effect. It did not result in people hanging out and dining or, patronizing local establishments or staying in local hotels. That was $20,000 that apparently resulted in nobody thinking Bremerton is cool to live in or hang out in. It was also raining. But
Well, and I'm going to have to interrupt you because state law, that's not what this fund is for. It's this fund is to self-perpetuate almost tourism. So I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. And So we really have to focus on that, and I think there will be discussion of all that. There's going to be a lot of data coming at us, a lot of, we'll have a lot of fun, talking about it. I do think your financial need might be worth revisiting.
That sounds great. But in previous years, you have said that LTAC is for heads in beds. So
Yes,
if an
hotel
event
nights.
not producing heads in beds, why is that a good event?
I've never heard that it didn't. I mean, I have always heard that the Hampton and the Fairfield are sold out during Bridge Blast.
Okay.
So one of the things
Just going by the sun. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
one of the things on this is that I believe the Bridge Blast has the ability to do this. Still relatively new, and it's been faltering a little bit to get to where it needs to be. And they struggle right now just to get the money to make it happen. Once they can get to that place pretty steadily, then they can maybe get to the place where they can use marketing in the region. Because I think it's among the coolest fireworks you can see. And but I don't think a lot of money gets spent marketing Bridge Blast beyond posters and some shop windows at this point.
Is it marketed all throughout the region or throughout the
I'm saying I
Well,
don't
and
think.
again, talking about one organization, or one event, this is part of such a larger conversation. And I think we're going to be getting some recommendations about how to best leverage these events in a larger arena, and maybe how to invest in that. So Michael, you're right on with what you're saying. I know we're on a time limit.
The last thing I wanted to add, kind of with my fellow counselors have said, is that maybe something we include is what other funding do you have secured, and what is your plan to do the marketing to get this out beyond? Because some folks are just it's really operational funding, which is super hard to come by. I'm sure but that does help enrich our communities and things like that.
So we're at about 10 minutes, but what I want to check in with, it sounds like council's direction is they kind of you're wanting to make sure that we have data. I mean, I'm hearing that there is a data, we want to know what the data is for heads and beds, and if events are
That's
actually
asked, yeah.
And then I also heard that folks want to know if there's like a real financial need, or if they're receiving more of the pie than other newer, maybe less technically adept. I mean, I'm thinking of like new events like Under One Sun that got funding that Denise was all over, but we want to see new events that are more diverse, that are not necessarily receiving multiple pieces of the pie from the city. So is there any other feedback did I interpret that right?
I think that's right on, and I think the committee can easily digest that and integrate it.
And then is there any other feedback that we want to give to Denise to take back to the LTAC committee before we close out this discussion?
The only question was if we had any preliminary feedback from Lori Main.
Yeah, she's been scheduled for later this month in a study session. So she'll be giving you what's going to be close to, final data, and teasing out some recommendations. Then the hard work will be us coming together, with the committee and working it all through. But yeah, it's coming.
Gotcha. So that's probably more incorporated into 2026 as funding.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss this, Denise.
Thank you, counselors.
Yeah. All right. So next up, what I forwarded to you, and I did it individually, which isn't normally what we do, but so please don't reply at all to this email. It's just the communication with the city of Paulsbo for their contract with Bluebills. And all I'm doing here today is coming to you. We can discuss it a little bit. I don't want to spend more than 10 minutes, but I wanted to find out if there were other counselors that were interested in supporting a contract with the Bluebills. Jane, right ahead.
Yeah,
actually, we can do a free form on this too, but if you have time to look in your emails and look at the contract, and I apologize that I didn't bring it. Okay.
Can't read it.
I think it's a wonderful volunteer driven organization. And I think there's a lot of people in Bremerton that the more they know about it, the more they'd be happy to volunteer, and maybe it will help elderly and people of lower income stay in their homes, which is what we want. We want people to be able to stay in their home, not be out on the streets looking for a home. So I think it's a great organization, and I'll help you in any way on this.
Do I have any other counselors that want to, Michael?
I think it's good, but I just was wondering if there's a way just to sort of tie this to the existing
Mhm.
sort of programs that we have. And I don't know how they would feel about working, and I don't know how our partners at, is it, KCR would feel about it, but I know sometimes they struggle to get enough, qualified, folks to help, but.
Yeah, let me address that, because what I appreciate is Denise's reminder that we shouldn't have duplication of services all the time, right, Denise? Okay. And so we definitely have funding that isn't always, we don't always spend all the funding we allocate for, like weatherization, for instance, no? It gets all spent. So do we have any,
Rental assistance too?
well, okay, let me explain rental assistance. The Blue Bills does not do rental assistance. So we're talking about upkeep of a home, fixing home, helping with weatherization, they do all kinds of stuff. They help find and install, heating and insulation, things like that. But we do have other programs in the city. And Mayor, do you have any suggestions on gaps? Because I know that we do provide a lot of these services in the city. I'm just gonna just check in with administration here to find out if we have any gaps in services that maybe the Blue Bills could focus on that.
Everything I've seen the Blue Bills do, the weatherization can accomplish. Wheelchair ramps, porch roof repairs, deck repairs. We have freedom with our funds because we don't have not federal funds, so they're not restricted like a lot of KCR money is federal and it's restricted. There's reporting criteria, there's verification criteria. I don't know how Blue Bills verifies a low income house or a house in need. I don't know how they do that.
I think it's often referral based. I mean, I think it's sometimes self-referred. They just take, I don't know that they have the strict criteria that we have for verification. So there's that, which kind of brings me to, like another point, which is there's a lot of lower, do we need it? But no, there's middle class who are on the fringe that could benefit from additional services.
Yeah.
They've done other services such as helping with, I mentioned before there was, they built a little section, they rebuilt a fence. Do we do fence repairs with city services?
No, that one, I haven't heard of a fence repair. One thing where I see a need, and I'll just toss it out there, sometimes there's emergent issues that really happen quick. But it just depends, can Blue Bills operate
They do.
like that? Like if we had let's say a weekend comes up, somebody's lost their front door for whatever reason, gotta get it repaired, we're busy, wanna help, but can we call them in that week and help them with a door repair or something? And then do we have to verify? I mean, could it just be something where we make a call, they appear to be in need, and
So
What do we do now?
send them to KCR.
well, if it's an emergent issue, sometimes we have workers who will help out. I mean, fire department, public works, sometimes that happens.
So-
So do
To me with it, okay.
you think we could save money with, obviously there's red tape to go through the weatherization, right? And all that sort of thing. Do you think we could use that same amount of money and get more things done by using a volunteer-based organization?
How much are you asking for?
I hadn't put a dollar amount in this request because I thought it was something we could discuss.
But they did.
Yeah, they said, did they say 10 to 15, which is what? Excuse me, City of Paulsville did.
One of my thoughts between the two different
Excuse me.
systems or two different programs, and I'm still interested in seeing if they can work together, but maybe that's not necessary. But
They did mention KCR. They want to have an interface.
yeah, Bluebills seems like they can do bigger things, but a lot of it's like handyman. So maybe there's somebody who has a problem that comes to KCR. See, I'm seeing is KCR is there's two things here. I'm seeing KCR as maybe the first stop, the one shop to go to get weatherization or repair. Because when I'm looking at you, Melinda, because there's going to be a contract, and who's gonna like we instead of we could give KCR another 15, maybe we could give them 15,000 plus whatever their admin fee would be to maybe manage the Bluebills, for the city of Bremerton. So there's one shop. We've still got Bluebill still has money. You guys fix this. This is a weatherization. We'll do this.
It is specific to elderly. That's their focus. And so what they did for the city of Paulsville is they focused the services in the contract on elderly in the city of Paulsville. What they had kind of asked us to do is if we could make it broader for Bremerton rather than City of Bremerton. I don't know if I'm necessarily in favor of that, right? So my specific request, if we did move forward on talking about this in an agenda bill, is that we do make it for the city of Bremerton proper, whatever that means, proper. Melinda, incorporated city of Bremerton. Ms. Monroe, you haven't had a chance to look at the contract that the city of Paulsville did with them, did you?
I did see it.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you at least had it to preview so that if we had a discussion on it later that you have, I don't know if you have any feedback on the contract or if you want to just be ready at a future date.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike has something.
I just wanted to don't get too far off. We have to income qualify. We cannot, it's a gift both funds issue. You can't just give money. They'll have to income qualify whoever runs the program. So
Okay.
It's not allowed. So also have to qualify.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Yeah.
Well, we can base it on the county income like we do the EMA.
We can base it on the Bainbridge.
That's right. So we do now.
I want to begin my comment by saying, Eric, you were right.
That should be a given. We don't even have to.
No, wait a minute.
That's true. That's so true. They asked for two things when they were doing their public presentation. One was money, but the other that appeared equally important was a contact person.
Okay.
At Paulsbo, they have that, they have that, it's small, but it's a full Department of Health and Human Services. Who would we have?
We would use, KCR was what they had mentioned. They have done partnerships with KCR in the past. So guess what they listed, and we haven't talked to KCR yet, but we could. And then if that doesn't work for them, but that part has not been discussed yet. So that's something that I could follow up on.
Am I correct? And I'm really just asking the room here. But am I correct that the reporting requirements for any city or larger government are much more onerous than those for a nonprofit? Is that accurate? Okay, and certainly different. So for us to give money to a nonprofit like KCR, we can do that.
Yeah, there's still stipulations on they're doing the income qualification for it. So that's why the weatherization program has stipulations, even though there's two funding costs. We put $150,000 in KCR, $50,000 CG, $100,000 that.
I love that you have these figures at your fingers' ends.
Different requirements, but still they have to income qualify, so they forward data when we see who receives.
Okay, so I'm not sure how Paulsbo didn't need to do that, but it seems that the administration here is saying that we would need to do that.
Council President, they got a great big write-up, Paulsbo, for something we've been doing. We took it upon ourselves for years to do. And it wouldn't have resolved the trailer park issue either. We already have the programs in place if the folks were willing to apply for that. The same criteria of all those things that they needed repaired, especially if they income qualified, they'd have been eligible for KCR funds. So You know, but I saw, you know, I do see where sometimes emergent needs are, but, you know, we move pretty quick. KCR can move fast. It's not an onerous thing.
I don't know that KCR can move incredibly fast. I have anecdotal data and personal experience that sometimes,
Slower these days.
yeah, and I think that that's because the need is higher. But Eric wants to chime in. It's
Okay, so
time
I
to
missed,
talk about money, isn't it?
Let me give it
so I missed the presentation if there was one. for
There
that
was.
study session. So just doing a little catch up and reading this contract, which is an example, it's not the contract before us with the city of Hillsborough. I think where we differentiate, and I'm not an expert on KCR's operations, is that, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, you were for the presentation. They're just going to charge for supplies. They're not going to charge for labor. Is that
Right.
correct?
Correct.
Well, that's huge. So if I'm going to KCR, they're going to contract that out and you're going to be paying whatever. These are, my understanding, these were veterans or.
They're retired Boeing engineers.
Man, whatever.
Yeah.
And they're trying to help the community and they want some assistance with just the raw materials.
And dump fees, they would like. If
And
we could
that's,
help with that.
that sounds, to me, that sounds like a great plan as far as more bang for the buck. Because they're volunteering all their time. Now, whatever, that legal will have to review all this because they're gonna have to have insurance and all that other stuff. I don't know how to handle all that stuff. But it does say in here that now we're putting a burden on Melinda because this is city money and someone will, the Bluebird, I shouldn't say, what is it called? I shouldn't say.
Blue bills, but you.
Blue bills, I said bluebirds. I
One letter.
meant to be a slight. The Blue Bills will be presenting an invoice to the city, and I assume that'll be Melinda. She's their contract specialist, and then she would have to approve the reimbursement on our check register or something like that. I'm not adverse to this. I'm mildly surprised. This sounds like a good idea. I'm not. That didn't mean to be a slight. That didn't mean to be a slight either.
Can I?
It just,
Oh,
this sounds like a pretty good bang for the buck. And I would assume that you got enough citizens here that could use this service. And I really think it'd be faster and more efficient. And I could be wrong, but on the weatherization, every year we talk about it. We weatherize 10 homes or whatever. And it's like, really, we've got like, you know, how many thousands of homes that probably need work around here. So, and I understand, and people don't know about the program and all this stuff, but maybe those projects are much bigger than what the Blue Bills would do. It sounds like this is more of a handyman's service, kind of a micro help versus I'm going to weatherize your whole house type deal. So I think it fits a gap. If our community says there's a gap that we need to have this done, it fits a niche, a gap that we don't have. So I'm good with it.
and I'm gonna go to Denise, but then I also want to just do a time check because I want to honor the fact that we're trying to stick to a limit for the discussion. And Denise, go right ahead.
Yeah, I think what's bubbling up is that we want it to fit somewhere and cleanly. And I agree with Eric. They've determined a need, or our community has. They've come to us for help. Hillsborough employs someone in behavioral health or whatever, so they're doing direct services. And I think you know how I feel about that. The city's not in that business. The county may be, city of Hillsborough, but we don't have the infrastructure to support a program like that. And so it'd be great, 10, 15,000 bucks, 20,000 bucks to fill a niche. I think we ask, you know, where does this fit the cleanest and the best so that we can make it happen? And I'm not so sure I know that.
So I want to just, before I end the conversation, just kind of make sure that I have 3 of us that are good to move forward with an agenda bill to just begin discussion. So,
Habitat?
is it just me and Jane?
Oh,
Sure.
no, yeah, no, it's sorry.
Okay, all right.
Just thinking habitat.
So it says, Habitat, you mean to be a contracts administrator? I mean, the income qualifier? What I'd like to do,
Thought of it and then I stopped thinking.
you know, I have this written on my agenda
We have
for,
no connection to them yet.
I have this on my script saying July 24th, but I think that's too soon to come back with an agenda bill. So I'd like to bring it up again in August. That way we have more time to do better and thorough research, so we can give you a good, yeah.
I think some of that should be is like, let's get the folks, well, if we were interested in this as at least as an option, let's talk to whoever's running the KCR program.
Exactly.
And, to be honest, if it was, we had to pay, 18, pass through 15, that just feels good to me, because small grants are tricky. It's a lot of administration, a lot of like.
And yeah, and I want to make sure to connect with Miss Monroe there and with Kylie and make sure that there's a good that there's answers to things like this, that we have a better presentation for you than what I'm doing right now. Yes, yeah.
Councilor, could I just add one more thing? We're
Yes,
going over the budget right now. What might be coming our way might be some pretty big requests coming in for the budget. So we'll, if we're having this conversation, if it is 15 grand, maybe we keep it within the 100-150 window that we're used to operating in with weatherization, and maybe we reduce one to add it to another.
Might be more bang for our buck in that way,
It
right?
could be that.
It's got a
Thank you for
good
that
use in that
suggestion.
term.
That was my ask, was when are we?
No, sorry.
That term is not what you think it means.
Okay.
Proportionally more efficacious.
So what they quote is that you basically get, a tenfold value is what the Bluebills have said. I'm sorry. Let's research that so that I don't say it again, apparently. So if I could bring this back again, I think August 14th. So that's in a month, and it's with enough time for us to we can have a good discussion. And it's before the winter time, but it gives a good solid month, a little less than a month, to do some good research and give you a better presentation and have some of these questions answered.
Can we just make the proviso that if things come together more quickly than we expect, that we would do it July 24th?
July 24th is going to be a very packed agenda, so I'm gonna reserve my item for the 14th at least. Yeah,
Are we trying to start this program this year, or is this program to start?
it would be to facilitate in 2024 to assist with the winter season, and so that would be thank you for clarifying. I didn't add that, so it would be.
And so
We could do a prorated amount. That's an option, and then.
it seems even. Okay.
Okay. What are your thoughts when I say prorated?
Well, now we start prorating, we're more than halfway through the year.
Right.
So now we're talking like 6,000 and change. That's the administration on that is the same as it is for 15,000,
Fair.
100,000. That's all. We can work that out.
Let me, so I have Jane and Eric and then everybody's, but does anybody want to work with me on just discussing this so we can have a presentation? Okay, yeah. All right, Jane. Okay. So
When's mid-year budget adjustment thought? For context,
mid-year budget adjustment talks?
is that coming to us?
It should be coming soon, right?
Yeah. It's on the initiative, but
Okay.
July 24th.
Okay, so we'll get an update then.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is another reason, thank you for reminding me, that's another reason I wanted to put it off so we could actually have that mid-year.
Oh, okay.
But we can still make an amendment to the budget for a small amount. Okay. All right. Let me give you a couple, actually, that sounds like a great idea. I'm gonna go ahead and cross something off my list that's on here. The request that you made for me to invite the Parks Commission chair. It sounds like he'll be joining us. Ben Burnett will be joining us Wednesday, August 28th, which is kind of cool because it's after a really important public hearing. But Ben Burnett will join us August 28th, so I want to just cross that off and make sure to give you an update for that. And mark your calendars for Public Works and Utilities Tour Facilities on August 15th, beginning at 8 a.m. Lunch is provided and transportation.
To speak to that really briefly.
Sure.
So there's in my district, there are people who work for Public Works, and one of the things they mentioned last year was that they had that the water department had had a full presentation plan with like tables and literature and all kinds of stuff, and we didn't know about it, and they felt like bad that we had missed it. So I'd just like to make sure that we're not disappointing anybody who's prepared something for us this year.
Sid, hey, can you tell me how we missed it?
Well, not without giving away the guy's name, no.
Okay. Did we just like get back in the vehicles and take off, or?
I believe it was at the Public Works building.
Uh-huh.
They were, but it could have been somewhere else because it's the water department. But I just wanted to make sure, like, even if we're rushing through something, that we're making sure that to honor and respect all the everybody.
Okay. So make sure that we don't miss any special presentations. Okay, all right, thank you.
I'm looking for those free pens, stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through a couple of announcements so I can knock these off the list, and at 6:30 we'll take a 10-minute break. Sorry, Michael, it's a 10-minute break. It sounds like there's gonna be a tour of Gold Mountain Golf Course, more details to come.
Good.
And we actually, I enjoyed watching Anna tromp around on the grass and go off.
Seriously.
Off into the weeds.
I did.
And when we come back, counselors, I provided you with our action goals, our action steps for our goals and priorities. And what we're going to do is go down in a linear fashion. We'll take notes, and what I want to do is kind of celebrate or honor, but also at the same time take note of what we haven't started on. But I'd love examples from everybody on the different ways that we've met or the different ways that we need to meet these goals and priorities. So it is going to be a lengthy discussion, and a break is in order. I'll call us back to order at 6:40. Please have a snack, hydrate. Denise will be back at 8:40. Go hydrate.
6:40.
6:40. No, for her it's 4:40. Or is it 3:40?
It's 3:40.
Okay, come back at 3:40. All right.
It's Bremerton been an issue.
Okay, I call the study session back to order. Denise, are you in earshot? Is she still there?
Dawn was.
Okay. Well, folks, is it okay if we get started on the discussion and then our folks can join us at, I said 8:40 and I'm sticking to it.
I appreciate that.
All right. Okay. So let's go linearly if that's okay, because I'm not sure after the heat wave we've had that I have many brain cells left to go and mix and match between the different ones. So, counselors, and this is good. The reason that I think it's good to do this quarterly. We don't necessarily have to revisit it every month, right? But revisiting it quarterly so we can make sure we're on track. Does that sound okay with y'all if we come back in 3 months and revisit these again? I'm getting one head nod. How do you feel about
Visit beef?
our action steps? You can do whatever I want.
No, I mean,
I have some repairs I could use.
Typically when they've been on the wall, it was something, it was like, we had it on the wall for a reason, so we could remind ourselves of it, and we could be kind of constantly tucking. I don't know.
I think some people like accountability, and that's what I'm trying to
So then
answer to.
I don't like accountability.
No, that's not true.
So don't ask me on this. No, I guess, so we've transitioned it from more of just like a vision document, something that we're working towards, I feel, to like a little bit more closer to a work plan with deliverable. So that there's probably a need to change how we interact. So I'm agreeing that probably we need to do that at the meetings.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do last year, like those SMART goals, right? Achievable, how we know we've signed off on them. But I like tagging up regularly to see where we're at.
And Eric, what are your thoughts? And Denise, what are your thoughts on tagging up quarterly on action steps?
Yeah.
Not every month.
If we really want to have impact, I think it's a good plan.
Any thoughts there?
Oh, so Michael alluded maybe when he was council president, when I was council president, I had, Lori and Christine come up on the wall. And then we, revisited them much more than quarterly.
We didn't have.
And a lot of times during our discussion, we would say, is this relevant to our council goals? And we tie back into that. So in a way, I miss that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think I like that idea of putting up on the wall, because I feel like everything we do have the conversation of it. Is this a goal and priority? Does this tie into our, our plan? Or is it something that we can discuss in the next round? So I'm in agreement. I think we need, and do you mean on the wall in here or out there?
Over here, study session.
Yeah.
We work.
Okay. And so like, was it big print? Was it like a big printout?
Lori or Christine were listening.
Okay. So Lori, Christine, do what Eric said to do. Yeah.
In this case, you've got so much here that it'll have to be a two poster board.
Have to hang out the window.
Yeah.
Okay. We can make it rainbow and we go two birds, one stone. Okay.
That's from a different cloth.
Not as old school intent.
So, I didn't put, and I'm going to start off this conversation. I didn't put a time limit for this, so I'd like to go around and find out what the expectation is from y'all for how long we should have this discussion so that I can help us stay on track and you can help keep me accountable. How long would you like to dedicate for this conversation, counselors?
For this whole thing?
The goal, and the goal is to go through and just do check-ins with the relevant department heads, committee heads, chairs. And then if it's a whole conversation, just a conversation with all of us to see how we've met them and what our plans are for the future to continue meeting them. So it's 6:45 now.
7:30.
Half hour.
7:30.
45 minutes. I was thinking it would be half an hour, but if you want 45 minutes, we can dedicate that. Denise, are you all right without a 45-minute discussion on action steps? Michael, Eric?
I can go to 30.
45.
Why don't we go to 30 and then if we really need a few more, we could extend.
All right, let's aim
break.
Or take another break. No. Michael. No, let's aim to try to, I want to have good conversations, but I also want to stay focused. So we're going to go linearly. And what normally happens in these conversations is we spend a lot of time on the first items and then we are rushed through the end of the items, you know? So if I'm counting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 items technically.
Let's start at the bottom and work our way up.
I was just gonna suggest.
I'm going to go from the top down because I mentioned before y'all came in, this is the way that my brain works. So let's start with community and employee engagement, support development of a diversity and equity and inclusion position. That one is pretty easy, y'all, because I feel like we've met that goal.
I don't think we've done anything on it, to tell you the truth. We get an update saying, okay, we're getting a consultant. Everybody's like, okay, I mean.
Well, our role.
We played our role. We played our
Yep.
role. We stayed in our lane. It's now
Yep.
in the administration's lane.
All right, I'll go with that.
So
Still happy
goal
to
number-
help.
Yeah, happy to help. There's some money and a contract. You're welcome. We met it. Number 2, increased public engagement. So hold district meetings on comprehensive plan. Counselors. I know we've got a couple counselors that are doing that.
I'm waiting on the district digest to be finalized before I want to announce any meeting.
Yeah,
That's fair. Okay.
An update on the.
Okay.
An update from DCD on the timeline, because in an informal conversation, it's now mid-2025.
So, and I had talked with one other counselor about this, and I'm going to invite Director Spencer to come and give us an update on that.
Wonderful.
And then it will make it easier for us to hold district meetings on the comprehensive plan when the district digest is published. However, if it's not, we can still hold district meetings on the comp plan. That doesn't exclude us from doing that, right?
Yeah, it'd be good to know if it seems like it's been this close to being finalized for a while now, so
Mhm.
I've been off. But if it's gonna be much longer, then I agree we could start.
Okay. Develop FAQ for council website. And so just to follow up on that, I think and I listened to our May 8th meeting. It sounds like we were going to send it to Kelsey for review, and then there's some conversation that's happened. So I'd like to bring the FAQs back on July 24th for final, after all the feedback is done. We already got direction from y'all to publish them, but I wanted to make sure it went through. Our conversation where we left off on that date was to go through Kelsey and legal. Do you have an update for that?
The only change that I know of since we met, we discussed it, we orally pinpointed, like, this was the thing you did, which I thought was great. It's like, let's repeat all these minor changes. Like, we did things like Michael wanted to say that if you click here, it won't take you to their email, it will take you to a link to their email.
Our pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. So these were minor changes. They were all done within 36 hours of that discussion. They were sent in. I sent them in. I made the changes. I sent them in, and they have sat since May.
Okay. That's frustrating.
Lori had a question, which is, do we want to do this instead of the how do I, which is on the main city website? And one of the things, because that Lori may have missed, is that these are questions frequently asked of counselors. And that's why we chose them. That's why there aren't that many of them. So if we want to look and make sure that the word link to an email is included at some future study session, then so be it.
So here's what I propose. I'm going to bring it back on July 24th for final approval, and then we just need to say publish, right? So because we don't have I don't have anything to finalize or to verify. I mean, I just have my own just connecting with people, asking them where we're at with the process. And then it should be available to publish. I mean, I'm gonna give you my assurance that it'll go and be published.
Delegate, if there's no major changes by legal or even small ones, just to, if they look good to you, then throw them on the website when able.
You don't want me to bring it back for review for?
I don't
Okay.
think.
Does anybody else need to see him again after we discussed? Okay. All right, I'll take care of that.
Jennifer, legal is okay. You haven't heard anything.
I think the only thing that okay, here's what I did hear from legal, that, just to be careful about, verbalizing things in a way that could be in contrast to our codes. It sounds like that's all good. I think it just puts us into a liability issue if something is verbalized in a way that's different than a code interpretation by administration.
Was that specifically about the long, complex process that one actually has to go through in order to find out about a permit application? Because I just shut that down to like.
And you did a good, yeah, it sounds like it's been shortened. We talked about that.
Maybe we should have a little disclaimer that says these FAQs are, you know, always superseded by the BMC, you know, and, you know, as we try to keep, these are for convenience, and we try to keep them up to date.
Kylie, do you have anything to weigh in on regarding our FAQs?
I can see it in tear down.
Well, they're
All right.
totally pared down.
Okay, so hold me accountable for July 24th, to make sure that they're published. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, cool. Next one. Public outreach pre-budget season. Finance department.
Committee.
Finance committee, sorry. Finance committee, finance department. You got another job to do for that.
I have something scheduled for tomorrow, though I don't know how many people are gonna come when it's 80.
Well, the finance chair, this is delegated to your committee.
Mhm.
Do you have, this is something that's delegated to your committee to do public outreach for? What are your
Yeah,
thoughts?
we're not doing both, but we work with staff to, so we've been talking about how to make things better and things like that.
Okay, so that's an in-progress goal. Okay, in progress.
Tell us, have you come to any conclusions or you're still just mulling?
No, staff has heard us, and now they let us know what they're trying to do, and we,
Okay.
you know, give them feedback, and we work with them. We're not doing, the committee's not doing the outreach. Unless that's what other.
Well,
committees are
I'm having a district meeting.
That's your
to discuss
normal,
that,
that's
yeah.
your outreach as a council member.
Yeah.
So it's an in-progress goal. We're not at budget season yet, so in a few months when we talk about it again, we'll be in budget season. So, yeah.
So, Ed, I think it was our last study session, Michael, but they're all running together for me now, as my brain is melted. You were saying if there are suggestions about how the outreach could be structured, that we should like send an email with those suggestions to the finance committee. And is that okay that we ask questions that reflect the fact that we don't know how much time something will take? Like, I don't know, for example, like how much it would take to find out which items in our budget are discretionary and which are not.
That sounds like a Mike Riley question. What we want to avoid is quorum,
So-
right?
So,
Well, we're having a meeting.
Right now, but what I'm saying is you're talking about sending emails directly to the finance committee.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
Michael asked.
And then Mike Riley would be like discretionary versus,
I mean, I would just ask the department head
Okay,
that question.
okay.
I mean, we're just trying to work with them on how we do more outreach. And we're not gonna, I don't think, we're not gonna nail it, never need to, you know, this is a constant thing of
Yeah.
moving towards plain language, moving towards,
Thank you.
you know, a better layouts and more accessible stuff. So we're just gonna continue it.
would it be appropriate if I asked for an update in September, at a September study session? Like when we do our report outs for committees, since it'll be before our budget season, September feels appropriate for pre-budget season outreach. Is that okay? So September we'll revisit it?
Yeah.
Okay. Mike?
Well, off the top of my head, if anyone are looking for
Yes.
We're in the throes of budget right now.
Yeah.
We're looking for outreach. They know, we talked before, but we're looking for outreach to the public.
Yes.
I think it's starting in January, February, before we're developing the budget. We're meeting with department heads. We have documents out. You'll be seeing the budget, by the time we get to September, you're a month and a half away from having the budget.
Yeah, well, we can,
But we're looking at.
we can review where we're at. I mean, we didn't adopt these till a couple weeks. No, I'm just kidding. Well, we didn't, we adopted these this year. So, yeah.
We're already looking at the narrative in the budget book and stuff.
Yeah.
For clarity.
To me, this is the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the next best time is maybe the end of the week.
Yeah, and so these are 2-year goals. So as you're strategizing, what I'd love for a report out is ways that we're already doing it, and ways that we're improving communication with the public. I think our goal, what we were hoping is that there'd be more participatory citizen participation in the budget process, and that's what people want. Yes. And that's what I heard. So if we can even develop a plan for next year to implement, because I appreciate what you said, that we need to have this be a plan that starts in January. So if that could be something the finance department begins developing, I think that's where we're going with this. So
What's a 2-year budget?
Yeah. With a 2-year budget.
We start in January, we'll be ready for the 2026.
Well, exactly.
Cycle.
We're having an adjustment in 2025, are we not?
Yeah. So with the biennial, it's pretty adjustment.
Yeah.
So we're entering something that there's might have to check.
And
again,
yeah,
committee is not doing the work to create outreach. That's staff's job. We're working with them to help them meet the goal that we have to do more outreach. I'm not going to have you guys all get signs, stand on the corner and spin them before a budget meeting, right?
Please,
like I'm not the one, because that's a bad idea. So we're working with them, and we'll bring it up at the meetings, and they know that this is a continuum. We've been bringing this up.
We will see.
I just don't want you guys to be disappointed saying, you said there was going to be a new budget outreach plan at the September meeting. WTF.
I put in progress, and
No, that sign spinning is a lost art. There's
okay. I'm
Mike
gonna move
promised
on
me
here.
an infographic.
Okay.
Majorettes.
So it's in progress. We'll talk about it again in September, because it'll be pre-budget season. It doesn't have to be like a whole. We're not looking for a 36 page with a glossary and All right. So item 1.4. Now we're into the summer, and I recognize that, but and Jane, I know this is something you were taking on, and you and I and Michael had kind of said we would do this, but do you want to give a quick update, and then we can talk about how we can work on this later?
I'll give you a quick update. I was working with Dr. Crawford, who's not available to work with at this time. So I'm going to talk to Marilyn, who's the current secretary to the high school.
Reach out to Karen Bevers.
Yeah.
She's like the community. She's the one we worked with.
Yeah, but she's not really the one who. Well, okay, you can reach out to Karen.
I wanted to just ask if there's some reason why I couldn't reach out. I mean, I worked there for 8 years. You can talk to basically the student advisory came, there was a teacher, and it was probably Lisa Gordon. No, who was the teacher that was the advocate?
So, don't mean to be disrespectful, but some guy, that's all I remember.
Okay.
So it happened when I was council president. We had it for 2 years in a row. And then we had, and Karen was also coordinating.
Okay.
And I want to say
Probably Patty Glazier.
something, Allison Rodder's name is in there somewhere too. We had, whatever. So
Okay, she
we
might
had a
be
lot of
different, actually.
involved in this. But it was a gentleman, the teacher was in charge of selecting the students, and they made sure they were, you had wasn't all high scholars. It was, made sure it was whatever. It was a good group. And it was for 2 years and we're starting to get stuff done. And then COVID,
Yeah.
and then here we are.
Okay. You don't know the teachers, so maybe would Lori have that history? Okay, so let's circle back with Lori to find out who the previous contact was.
Email will.
And I think rather than us just going off in our own directions, I know this is your pet project too, Jane, but it would be great if we could all align on which direction to go and then divide and conquer. But what are your
Well,
thoughts
I
on-
think I'd like to check in, first of all, if they've got the capacity right now. And so maybe that the first question should be reaching out to whoever at the school district to find out, do you have the capacity to take this on right now? And if so, just to be cognizant that maybe the last thing in the world they need right now is this. I don't know. Just to be aware.
Can we do just an email chain to follow up on this and make a plan? Would that be all right, Jane and Michael?
Sure.
Okay. All right. That was number 2. All right, number 3. Continue work with Greater Kitsap Chamber, Kitsap Economic Development Alliance, Downtown Bremerton Association to promote economic development initiatives. I mean, I feel like that's kind of, we're meeting that, we're in progress.
Ongoing, and
Ongoing.
Some of the floor, so I know DBA is super close, like a week or 2 away from submitting the full Main Street application. Obviously, Bremerton Creative District is done. Kudos at admin. You can, if you want to put me in the lead for historic preservation policy, I can work, especially with Katie Pratt on that one, just for some options.
Have we moved on to number 4?
I was hitting some 4 because it's tie-in.
Okay. Let's go. Do we have any other feedback specifically on number 3?
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Number 3?
No, I'm not interested in talking about number 3.
I'm interested in
Chamber or Kita Laley.
We do. I mean, do we?
We give money to both. We give money to all these. We subcontract our economic development outside. So I don't know if we have, do we have, I know we have representatives. I know the mayor and probably the council president are the representatives to Kita. Do we have a representative, or all council are members of the chamber?
We are?
Yeah. Yeah, all members.
I kind of do that, but I didn't realize.
Yeah, all members are
$25
all council members. You know, so Lori May pointed out to me recently, you guys are gonna love this. You guys are gonna love this. The chair of LTAC didn't even mention the need for examination or anything, all the study, economic development, impact, all of that of the LTAC fund in our council goals. So shame on me, right? But that is something that we're doing. That's trying to advance our, oversight of economic development.
So,
can I just say 3 is, I mean, basically we've met it, but it's also ongoing.
Yeah.
And so some of the talking points are that we're Kita, I'm on the board for Kita, I believe, and council members we're all members of the chamber, but I don't want to just use that as a talking point if we're not actually doing action on, if we're not actually taking action in collaboration with them, if we're just figureheads on a roster somewhere and we're not doing the work, right?
I was trying to think if there's any ongoing items or upcoming items to do substantial things with them.
I definitely have collaborated with Kita. I mean, and we did a roundtable discussion with Kita this year, didn't we? Was that? Oh no, that was Builders Association. I'm sorry.
Well, and the mayor has I believe, doesn't the mayor have a relationship with Kita?
Yes, but the mayor is no longer on city council, so he is no longer a part of meeting our goals and priorities because he has his own 4-page document 5. So, but he is on that. Sorry, no shade to you, Mayor, but these are council goals and priorities. But yeah, he is. And I believe I am too. And we do have on July 11th, we have something coming up for Kita Thursday. Yeah. Okay. Number So I'm gonna move past it. Just a time check. It's
Well,
up.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
one thing, and I almost brought this up earlier, so I've just actually rolled off as being on the tourism committee for the chamber. But, and this will tie in a little bit to lodging tax from earlier, but the chamber, one of the things that they're working on is with the World Cup coming to Seattle, creating Kitsap County is what they call a fan zone, meaning teams would actually be housed in the city of Bremerton. And, you know, so there's this big thing. And I can tell you that what they're hoping to do to be able to put this bid in is possibly, they're going to probably ask for lodging tax commitments, maybe out of cycle or something like that. So like we've done with like kind of off the top or something like that. So. But-
Is that something that you can share out at our next study session?
I mean, the chamber will bring it when they're ready.
Okay, fair.
Just as a heads up that
That's a
they're
collaboration with chamber.
actively working on the World Cup.
Well, and
Awesome.
Katie Walters is doing a bunch with that on the county level.
Yeah.
All right, so we are ongoing and met. We have a few talking points, but it sounds like we also have some things that we can continue to bring back when we do our good of the order, like regional meetings, et cetera, or share outs at good of the order. We should be talking about these items more. Am I wrong in that assumption? I'm gonna put that as a star so that I can make note to share out about the relevant ones that apply to me. But for other counselors, like the item that Michael's mentioned, these are good ways to tie in work that we're continuing to do to meet this goal and priority. Okay. 4, promote economic development initiatives. So Bremerton Creative District. I almost said Eric, but Jeff.
Done.
Done. Okay.
Main Street certification.
Main Street
Well in progress and on track.
on track. 3.
Historic preservation.
You want to be lead on that, Jeff? And then do you want to have ad hoc to work on that with you? Or do you want to just put something together? What do you want to do?
I haven't talked more at depth. Katie Pratt's the expert. We can talk with her more because I know there were some concerns on.
There's
Yeah.
huge concerns I have with the
We're gonna
historic
talk with her and then double
preservation.
back with you and see, we can address
Jane?
those or flesh them out.
Yeah.
So Jeff and Jane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So, and then of course you can have your third person. I don't think I want to be involved in that. So if there's one other person that could join.
I'd like to be involved in that.
Okay, Denise.
Who's first?
Check. Got it. So there's your sub quorum. Okay, 4. Chronically vacant building policy development, Michael. Ding. What are your thoughts on this one? I don't know that we have an update, but do you want to? Maybe, and you're right on this one.
I feel like, well, unless this is something that should be addressed in the comprehensive plan, I don't know if this is anything that we can work with DCD on until the comprehensive plan is.
Can't do anything.
Garrett?
So at the direction of City Council, brought forward a policy planning commission
Okay.
about vacant properties. So it's a policy that actual steps will be taken place. But yeah, the policy that would be direct on.
So is that like for
Internal.
derelict buildings or for all empty buildings?
I think that has yet to be developed later. But
It would seem that a chronically vacant building is just something that's empty, which hopefully a nuisance building would be covered under that.
Okay.
So,
Garrett, so it sounds like it's still in progress with the planning commission. They're still working on it. It's administrative policy. It's not like a BMC, right?
Yeah, full policy. Economic development.
Policy and economic development and not
Further
a BM.
regulations that come from later.
Okay.
So the comprehensive plan is the goal, of the city and regulations.
So a policy which is non-enforceable, right? Because if it's,
We were talking about possibly a fine, to do more research on if that was possible.
Not that you have to wait until you get the comprehensive plan adopted to start something.
I wonder if we could collaborate with DCD on this. Once planning commission has processed it, maybe we can take a look at the policy. Maybe we can work on it as a like a 2025 goal to have? What do y'all think about that? Instead of rushing the process, letting planning commission give a recommendation to administration, and maybe administration can report out to
I
us?
know one or two citizen folks who have knowledge and are trying to look at other cities, and I'm hoping they'll bring something forward, which is kind of a list of information, so I can always just pass that on an email at some point if we do get it.
Okay.
The planning commission, like the parks commission, has the duty to advise us directly, does it not?
I don't know that it's up to on the charter for that. I think any administrative report.
Same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Garrett.
Planning commission wouldn't be the body that talk about putting in a take.
Right.
Yeah.
Vacancy
Yeah.
tax. Thank you for that terminology.
Separate. Yeah.
So it sounds like we're still interested in pursuing this. Of course, it's one of our goals and priorities, but we're still researching. So it's in progress at a different stage than others are in progress, but we're still in the research phase of this.
What are economic incentives for people to not keep their buildings vacant?
Charge them the tax.
So what we can do is we can bring this, at a future study session, we can bring this specific item back up and have a good discussion about it. It probably would be a good discussion in September, prior to our budget season, early September. If I could put that on now.
We get resources from legal to help us know more about it.
September 11th study session. Are we really going to be meeting on September 11th?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's going to be, are we going to have, let's keep moving. September 11th. I'm going to pencil it in for September 11th for this item 4.4. Housing equity.
Okay, hang on there. Chronically vacant building policies. I'm hearing all this banter on this. Has anyone ever actually determined at a given point in time how many buildings are actually vacant? Do you have an inventory of that?
Yes, for the downtown core now from the Main Street application, DBA had to do that analysis. So I know they have data for the area that they're designating Main Street.
Is that public knowledge or can be public knowledge?
I think it will be shortly, but
I'd like
I
to
can
see
ask them
that.
to see if they can share directly.
I think the
or
council would
back.
like to see that.
Yeah, I'll ask that.
And of course, we know that that's not the only chronically vacant, subset of buildings in our
I think I can say
area.
off the top of my head, without quoting me on it, that it's about 25%.
25%.
I'd like to see the
Actual
numbers.
full numbers.
Be interesting.
And for how long have they been vacant?
Good question.
Let's,
I've lived here 25 years. I've been vacant.
I'm going to move us on to item 5.
Can we
Ensure.
do incentives and funding for commercial?
Oh, thank you. Item 4.5. I skipped to 5.5, but 4.5 or 5 proper. 4.5 is incentives for funding, incentives and funding for commercial areas. So Finance Committee, can you give a report out for Wheaton Way and Charleston District for incentives and funding for commercial areas?
Nope.
Cool.
Wheaton Way still need incentives
What?
and
Why is this, we've stuck it in finance because there's probably no better place for it. Wheaton Way, we consider that the corridor too, right? The SR 303 corridor.
Yeah, right.
well, I think when we're saying.
Because I've got an empty Mod Pizza building that is going to be chronically vacant if we don't do something about it.
No,
When it's 25 years old, we'll talk about it.
so when we put it in finance, it seemed the most appropriate because
Yeah.
we're talking about money. And so we can revisit it, but I do think there's ways that we have provided us incentives and funding for Wheaton Way and Charleston District, and also for commercial areas in general. And sometimes those incentives and funding, I'm just thinking about ways that we've supported other projects. We have other projects that we've supported that aren't necessarily seen as economic development, but they could be tertiary too, or a result of them in development.
It's because we don't do economic development that we struggle with this. I mean, I would love to hear from Garrett and DCD about commercial development, or the mayor. The mayor plays a huge role, I know, with all of this. And this is actual economic development, what's going on in the corridor. And to have like a stall of the mod pizza, I mean, sorry, but it's a huge disruption of that.
So
Anyway.
I want to, so maybe I think what I can do is connect by email with our DCD department and find out, maybe they have some ideas on ways that council has supported financial projects on these two specific areas, but commercial areas in general. Would that be okay, Garrett, if I followed up with you by email?
Well, changes that made.
Oh, yeah.
Help economic development. A lot of this might be a macro issue for lending as far as why development might be stalled that really the city can't help.
I mean, I think it's very broad. We left it very broad as incentives and funding for commercial areas. It's pretty broad. And we did that intentionally because, I mean, I'm just thinking too, incentives and funding for commercial areas, we're still, we did that temporary encampment zoning change. I know it's not necessarily economic development, but I see it as economic
Oh,
development.
yeah,
Providing housing solutions, right? So these are the kinds of things that I think that we could be thinking outside of the box on.
Like,
It's 7:16.
I'd like to bring up Charleston, which the specific, and Michael, I'm looking to you for this, the specific ask for funding that I keep hearing in Charleston, is better lighting. So that it could be open at night outside of June and July.
So let's go ahead and move forward to, so we're at 7:16. It looks like we need about 15 more minutes. And what I want to do is do a hard stop at 7:45, and we can readdress this at a future study session. It
7:45?
7:30, I apologize. 7:30 hard stop for this discussion. And then we'll revisit. Hopefully we can get through at least one or two subcategories, but we'll revisit this at another future study session. I want to leave July. I really want to secure July 24th for important discussions that we're going to have on that day. So the next study session that I would bring it up would be the August 14th study session, just to give you context. Okay. Ensure rental housing standards are met.
This is the landlord licensing compliance database that the auditor completed earlier this year, and that we all looked at in a study session, and our conclusion was that DCD should be sending out notices to all the 1,800, I believe, potential landlords saying, hey, you might be a potential landlord. You have to be licensed in City of Bremerton. I'm not sure about the exact language, but Garrett, what's the status of DCD sending out those notifications?
Before we ask Garrett, can I ask you which study session was that? May 8th? What study session was that?
We'd have to look back, but I remember we had a very big
We did have a discussion, and so I just wanted to make sure that we had a study session to draw it back to for landlord licensing, because what I remember about that is it came up in the course of a separate conversation. So I think we were talking about
Audit committee report.
It's the audit committee report,
I believe.
and I don't know if it was May 8th or okay. Could you find out and send that? Just email it to me or whatever. Which study session it was that we discussed.
But this was where Michael was saying, let's have at least 2 inspections. It would be more than. Am I quoting it correctly, Michael?
I don't recall, but.
Okay. And Eric, you were really happy that this was out. Again, in my recollection, I haven't looked at the video recently.
I believe I was pounding my fist on the table demanding.
Yes.
All this stuff. So where we left off was we gave the mayor administration a reasonable time to respond. You can check your records, your notes when it was. I think it was sometime September, to digest the report and tell us what you're going to do about it.
Okay, so we'll revisit in September.
Something around that. I don't know what the time.
Here's what I'm going to do to go ahead.
Where I'm on this, so I reviewed that section of code after that meeting, and 506.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'll pick it up. It's BMC 5.06, and there are some issues in the code that I need to address before we, address compliance with it, because, I'm going to be bringing an amendment, because there's a reference to an RCW that's been repealed.
Okay.
And so it makes it difficult when someone goes there to try to figure out what they need to file to be in compliance, to understand that. I don't think they got caught in the audit report, and so, I want to make sure that we have, clarification on that for folks, or we direct them.
Well, the audit report wasn't looking for the,
Oh, no, I didn't mean
Yeah.
it, that's not Jenny's.
yeah, okay.
So, I had a separate conversation, about this section of code previously with Pickup Legal Services. They are our local provider of defense services for eviction. And so I had previously spoken with Joanne Craig, their executive director, about this code. I told her that I'd likely be bringing forward an amendment to council soon because of these other issues, and I did ask her to get back to me if any suggestions. She got back to me on Monday, so I'm going to be digesting kind of what they suggested, and bringing forward amended code before we take any additional steps.
Do you think you might have some amended code in August, like maybe the end of August,
Yeah,
our August
so I think
28th meeting?
If we want to put it on there, that's fine. It's,
I'll pencil it in.
some of this, like I said, the stuff that I found was housekeeping. It wasn't like a policy issue, but it was in a section of code, and there has been some concern by that organization of some steps that maybe the city could take. And so we need to digest that.
Okay, and the letters could not go out until this code is completely
We
revised.
wouldn't want to send people
Okay.
directly to that code if it
Okay.
doesn't have clarity.
All right.
And so what I'd like to do is, and maybe I can work with staff, is I want to find out how I want to revisit that discussion so I can make sure that that everything is being met too and stay on task with that. So staff, if you're
President, Jennifer,
Yes.
could I ask a clarifying question? I thought I was hearing from Eric, a context for the conversation that was like more formal. It was, an audit report. We read it. We made some requests through, or recommendations through, to the staff, and that there was going to be a response. I don't want to gloss over that.
Sure.
Do we normally get a response from staff or anything on audits? How do
our attorney does actually, we have city legal, so I think that's who's reporting to us. But go ahead, Kylie. Can you come on up? Maybe Denise, did you hear Kylie's response from where maybe you didn't hear it?
Does that help?
Yes.
I like you being at our table anyway.
Yes, that does help.
The way I understood that discussion, and at least my role in that, was that the audit committee, or the auditor, produced a report. The audit committee chair brought the report to council. The council has asked the administration to review that and respond. And during that process is when I reviewed the code, determined that additional action needed to be taken before we start directing a lot of people to read that code. And that's where we're at. But I think that maybe where, at least I saw somewhat of a disconnect. I don't know if this is what you were seeing, is Anna was talking about sending out letters as being what the administration is supposed to do. And Eric was saying that the administration needed to report back on what the administration wanted to do.
Right.
Right. That's what I was picking up on.
Direct the administration on the specifics. Does that make sense? And neither does the council, for that matter. But I think that it is appropriate, though, for the council to ask for reports out on different aspects of the city business. That's certainly within everyone's branch. And so at this point, where I stepped in was just told the mayor, like, hold on for a sec. I need to work on this code before we take further action on it. And I wanted to give Ms. Sprague and her organization, who we have a good partnership with, an opportunity to weigh in. It was a couple weeks. It wasn't like a long time. And they have, and I'm ready to move forward.
So Denise, just to summarize, no, we're not directing administration to do something. We are asking for a share out, and it does sound like this is in progress. And because there's a BMC code update needed. So this is an in-progress goal.
Right.
And we have a penciled in date of August 28th. Yeah.
I think that was, like I said, I didn't anticipate it being a massive change. At least the initial thing I identified was not massive at all.
Fantastic. The last one I would like us to explore, and then I'm going to stop us at number 7 on housing equity, because that seems like it's too much to try to figure out in 3 minutes. But I want to explore housing equity. Number 6, explore feasibility of using surplus city-owned parcels for affordable housing projects.
I've talked to the construction director for Habitat. They would be interested in working with us on constructing affordable home ownership and affordable homes for people to own. I have talked to KCR and BHA, and they are completely full up with tasks. They have no time for it. And I am meeting with the organization that used to be Arc of the Peninsula, that is now Peninsula Services, or either later this week or early next week, to discuss.
So this is specifically the feasibility of using surplus city-owned parcels.
Yep.
And so, of course, you're not trying to make any contracts with them. You're just exploring feasibility.
No, Jennifer.
Okay.
I'm not trying to make.
Thank you for that.
To sell surplus city-owned parcels.
What isn't that?
My truck.
I've got some property for you here. All right.
He's selling the Warren Avenue Bridge.
As soon as I have something to actually bring to council,
Okay.
other than what I just gave you, I will bring it to you. I'm continuing to work on this. If anybody wants to help me with it, great.
I would love it, but what I'm specifically kind of curious about is you have the back end that you're exploring feasibility on, but what particular parcels, right? So we need to probably have a discussion on the parcels. That is in our purview, isn't it?
Yeah.
To sell property.
Yeah.
That's what we can sell property that's unused, but we're not just gonna do it out of the back of Anna's truck. Okay, no, Jane's truck. I'd rather do it out of Jane's truck. But what I'd be interested in, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but are recommendations from our administration
I
on.
thought they already
already have-
decided
They have.
when they did the map.
Yeah.
They showed properties that they didn't need, I thought.
No, the map was as far as I could tell, was every city-owned parcel within the city limits. The 295 parcel list was brought to department directors who ruled out every parking lot downtown, for example, but also every park. This building that we're in, that was ruled out. So everything that was a facility, a park, directly used for a reservoir or well was ruled out, and a few other things. So there's two shorter lists, one of about 25 parcels, one of about 17.
All right, Eric is gonna Eric, talk to me.
So I'm not that I'm an expert on this, but we've done this in the past. So, what I suggest is that the administration gives you some parcels that are indeed are surplus after looking at the list and saying, okay, and do we have a number that are now pared down to the following 15 or
It's like
surplus?
10 or 17.
Okay.
Great.
So then,
We have that
in years past, we would employ the use of a commercial real estate broker. And he or she could tell us if these have any market value, if they could be marketed or whatnot. And then we determine if, also determine with whatever your housing providers, if any of these are buildable, with the idea of if we have surplus properties and they're not ideal for affordable housing, you could sell it and use the proceeds to buy a parcel that is more suitable for affordable housing. I think that would be the approach to go with. But in years past, we did this with the city attorney, and he would transact, he would meet with the broker and then the council president. I mean, I was involved in real estate transactions with the mayor. I don't know, Greg, if we did it or if it was with Patty or whatever, but that's how we've done it in the past. And then we meet with the council in executive session saying, okay, we're listening to this and here's the offers, or that's how it all works.
Okay.
So what I appreciate about what Eric is saying is that we let the professionals do what the professionals do. And I mean, I'm not throwing shade on you for anything, but you're not, you're not the reason I brought up, that is like, you're not a contracts administrator.
No.
And so you're just like, you've got a lot of skills. And I'm just leery about communicating with agencies, in this way when we don't actually have a professional on board with us.
But it's in our goals.
Yeah,
So if it's in council goals,
that doesn't mean that we're beating the street doing code enforcement or fine. You know what I mean? Like it means like we are exploring.
We make it happen.
We can employ professionals. We're not the ones that are, we're not the ones that are out there doing the Main Street certification. We're employing the professionals to do it. So, yes, sir. Yes, Mayor.
We identified probably 3 properties, it was 3, that would be marketed. And we were gonna come forward, similar to what Eric said, sell it to the highest price we can get, put it into a fund that's used for affordable housing. So,
Yeah.
that way we get out of the brokering deals between 1 or 2 multiple agencies to something that might be complex, especially when you're getting into affordable housing and different variations of affordable housing. So, we might go to support somebody in that industry, but we can, first thing though, is we were gonna propose, sell it, most money we can, put it aside for affordable housing and work on what that might look like.
When are you planning to bring this to council?
No,
Been working on it.
worked on.
Okay.
It's in progress.
Yeah.
So thank you for that update.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have other things that we're, go ahead.
The thought was that, one of the first things we need to identify would be like, how much is what we're willing to surplus, is it really worth? And, yeah, so that was kind of the idea, because it might be, more valuable, in, like I said, to get more money to work affordable housing than just like, let's say, giving the land to it on top of
What I would suggest, council, is we have a lot of other things going on in the hopper. I wonder if we can revisit this specific proposal after budget season. Is that too far out to think about it? What are your thoughts? I mean, they say, or you just come to us when you have it, but if I give them a time frame, they might, if I pencil it in, they'll be there, is what I'm saying. So,
I'd say if come to us with those properties and say, yeah, we could sell these, I love the mayor's idea. Or in the meantime, if you meet with an organization, they're like, oh my God, we're ready to go on this project. This parcel would be perfect if we can find the right price. We evaluate that if it comes in as well.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Two-pronged.
so it sounds like, do we have we don't know which 3 properties. They're gonna bring us a proposal for that. So, okay.
One question I would like to ask this council is, do we want to go into the business of being a landlord? Do we want to pay to?
I would love for this to be an, can we pause and maybe we can have that discussion another time? Because I'd love to close us out of this.
I wanted to see Eric's spontaneity.
Okay, I'm closing this.
I don't even want to be a landlord
I got a
anymore.
problem, nonverbal, it's gonna come out, it's just gonna come out, it just,
I'm gonna play poker with Eric.
yeah, you don't.
Looks like we would probably anyway, not do very well. Okay, so
No.
what I'd like to do is move us past this. I put a hard line between housing and number 6. So the next time we revisit this in August, we'll start off with housing 7. Thank you for your time, and we're making progress. This is good. All right, so next up, we have are there any let me see what
Regional boards.
regional boards, but what's not on here is updates from committees. Did we have any committees between now and the last? Well, a lot were canceled in July, I'm sure.
No,
That's last.
not.
Finance
no, it's
was-
next week.
Public
Yeah.
safety was canceled in July, right?
Yep.
Okay, all right, that's why. Okay. So, regional or other committee or board, this is last study session, which would be technically 2 weeks ago.
With the no care to see board meetings, so there's not gonna be any.
Right.
Work.
Right. Exactly.
There was some kids have transit board, but I failed to make it.
Yeah.
I woke up and I just kept weeping about the Supreme Court, and I'm trying to study the kids have transit agenda, and I just, around 8 o'clock, I just gave up.
Okay. No problem.
Anyway.
Any other regional or committee boards? I think we're done on that one. I have this on here. We talked about the planning commission, inviting the planning commission. We know now after a brief discussion we had today that it's not in the charter to require the planning commission to come, or there's no language in there that requires them to be here. And so there's a couple new members. There was an email request stating that other members on council had directed me to invite them, but I said it wasn't an item on our agenda. And so I wanted to do some more education on that. Now that I know that it's not part of our charter to require them, and also there's quite a lot of conflict of interest that could occur between planning commission and council. I want to find a different solution. I think that administration does update us as per the charter of what's going on with planning commission through DCD. I mean, do you want to, can we have that conversation?
The proposal to request some more updates from DCD on the plan commission's progress and schedule.
Let me make sure that I'm writing this down.
Email you sent to Parks, Jennifer, was not a demand, very much a polite, respectful request.
I am polite and respectful most of the time, 70%.
Perhaps planning commission would enjoy updating.
I don't agree with inviting them. And there's categorically some reasons why. I mean, there's a conflict, and I think maybe being on planning commission, Jeff, can you speak? I mean, you were on.
Yeah, no, so I think if they're bringing something to council, I love it if a member of planning commission wants to summarize what their discussion was to council. They have in the past, right? So that's great. But I think in terms of updating what they're working on, the Parks Commission language in the BMC is very much like report to council on administration on matters of interest. The language in the BMC on the Planning Commission, as I look at, is very specific on review and recommend to council the adoption of, and it's like 3 very specific things. So, I don't feel like the BMC really compels any sort of reporting to us just to bring forth those the comp plan and other things.
Okay.
It would be nice to know
but just schedule up
where they're at.
Yeah.
We don't really
Yeah.
get updates like that. So
DCD
that's
does a
something
lot.
that the director could do for us more often.
So if I were, I already, like I said, I'm happy to invite Andrea to come and give us an update on, and just kind of an explanation on our,
The meeting, the minister.
yes.
Garrett's raising his hand in the back.
Garrett.
The minutes.
Thank you for those
There's
keen eyes.
nothing in the minutes.
Denise
Yeah.
mentioned that in a recent meeting.
Can I recognize Garrett Jackson for just a moment?
No.
Please?
Okay.
No man's gonna tell me it's.
Foreman voice, Garrett.
What I can tell you.
Did you almost turn into Popeye there?
So, yeah.
Oh, John Wayne,
So
sorry.
we do have all of our meetings are filmed and they're on the website. All of our packets are on the website.
Mhm.
All of the recommendations, findings, and conclusions for any type of ordinance, that is the planning commission making their recommendation to the city. If there is controversial topics that we've had in the past for zoning code amendments, we will ask a member of the planning commission to share what the commission is feeling to council, to have that more direct contact. But for something that didn't have as much controversy around it, particularly like BHA, applied for zoning code amendment that seemed to be fairly well supported, that we didn't ask the planning commission. to speak directly to council, but we did have BHA recommended that they be present to speak. That being said, that's type of updates that we've been providing to council. So I'm happy to speak that piece, but if you'd like to speak more to the director about, kind of troubleshooting that the
Can you tell us when the district digest will be published?
So we are having to, we'll be providing the council and the public with an updated, comprehensive plan schedule and push back a little further. The district digest were supposed to be, provided around the same time as the DEIS to help as a tool for the city council to explain the DEIS. The issuance of the DEIS has been set back, and so it'll be before the DEIS comes out. We'll be happy to share a update on the comprehensive plan schedule.
Thank you.
With the council.
When will you be coming to us with that update on the timeframe setback?
I would prefer that when the director is
Okay. And you know what? I bet you'll let her know that we were wondering, and she'll probably email our staff.
already.
She's probably watching right now.
She's not. So we've got Chow Martin, the conduit, and Wayne Hamilton are our attendees. Jane, yeah.
So Garrett, the minutes, are just like most city minutes. They really don't say anything. So can you put a link to the televised section where, I just went to find the minutes. Can there be a link for each thing there? Because I think that would make it easier, for me, but probably for the public too,
What we've been trying to do on Bremerton2044.com is under past planning commission, have a link to the packet or a link to the video. So I'll check on that tomorrow to make sure that we're up to date. But then it's supposed to, you're right, it should be easy for the public to go to see, oh, here was the meeting, here's the packet, here's the video.
Thank you.
And we can do that too.
Okay. Are we all good on the planning commission request? That was a request for me to request planning commission. We're all good on that conversation now. We know that yeah. And we can revisit, we can revisit it in a few months, and it sounds like we're getting a visit from our director soon of DCD.
We would enjoy to come back and visit us more often.
Yes. Okay, let me just move forward here. Now, we do have a 15-minute executive session. So I want to make sure that we're staying on course with getting out of here at a reasonable time. So I'd like to allow 5 minutes for good of the order tonight, and then we're gonna, okay.
My hand was up.
Jane or Anna, you guys, I don't know who's up first.
I was up first.
Okay, Jane.
And nobody was looking at the screen.
Oh, God. You know what? I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 25.
No, I'll go last. That's okay.
Well, I'm only allowing 5 minutes, and I'm gonna allow 6 minutes, and then we gotta go.
But that started back when this whole.
Starting now. Ready, set, go.
Okay, I have 2 other people on council who have agreed to sign on for us to work with legal to craft an ordinance to make it illegal to park in bicycle lanes throughout the city, and that includes loading. I found out tonight that they're not gonna tow on Washington Avenue because M-Park doesn't have the ability to tow. So that problem is gonna stay with us forever, even though staff's been telling us that we're gonna boot, we're gonna tow, we're gonna change signs. Nothing's worked, and we need a real ordinance.
So who are your other 2 people that want to do this ordinance with you?
Jeff.
Okay, perfect. So now that there's 3 people, so please feel free to work with Kylie on that. But also I know that Melinda has an update on that too. She gave me an update. When's the last time you got an update from her?
In the elevator on the way down.
Okay, then maybe your update is more recent than mine because mine was 2 days ago. So
Quick question.
yes, Michael.
How does the ordinance change anything? M-Park's not gonna tow, how does the ordinance get the cars physically moved?
we don't provide parking in a bike lane like we've done on Washington
We
Avenue.
don't provide parking.
Yes, we do. We have a
I see.
pullout.
Okay, what I'm saying is the ordinance, you can write all the ordinances you want, but it seems like it's an enforcement issue that we have to figure out unless we're gonna, I mean, taking the signs down is not gonna stop people from putting there. Maybe if we put in 8 fire hydrants, that might do the trick.
They park in front of the fire hydrant. I get photos
That's what I'm
every
saying.
day.
So how we get the ordinance has to have something in it
Well,
that,
that's what we're gonna work on crafting.
so that's the main thing. I support this. I just want to make sure that it's got something that changes something.
Well, right now, there's,
Because laws and
nothing.
stuff, like the rules don't seem to apply to the folks.
nope, they've been taught they can park there.
So.
Well, also, it's written on the street that you can park there.
So what I'm understanding is there's already laws in place. So what is your law gonna be? How is your law gonna be different? Because
I don't know yet.
you have your 3,
To do.
there you have your 3.
Yep.
So,
I'll let you know when we have it crafted.
okay, can we not do it on July 24th? You're not gonna be ready, right?
Permission for colleagues.
Of what?
Sure.
Never. Please always, Kylie, come join us whenever you have something to share.
Well, just both of us. So Park has never been able to tow, that they're not able to do that. So that, I don't know, I'm just wondering if that was, what was shared.
Because I thought,
The expectation of towing has not been removed.
I thought it had to be the BPD that did it. And I thought that the change in the signs were gonna allow BPD to do it, so,
Exactly.
so,
But the police department has told us at Public Safety that they're not gonna work with you to tow. It's another ordinance that they're not gonna enforce.
I think it would be fair to have Melinda and Chief Wolf or a police department representative to speak on this rather than us kind of, because I don't go to public safety, right? So I don't know what was said. So it's not fair to the police department to not be available to speak. So I do want to make sure that when you guys come back that we have I would prefer.
When we come back, we'll have spoken to all those people.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
3 minutes?
Fluoride. I am proposing a simple change to our Bremerton Municipal Code to eliminate BMC 15.02.145, which makes it, says that any fluoride in any chemical form shall not be added unless so ordained by a majority of the voters in an open election. I am looking for 1 or 2 people on council to support me in making this into a ballot measure by working with our city attorney. I should add that according to Paul Andrews, Kitsap County Auditor, the least expensive time to do this is probably the upcoming general election, for which the deadline is August 6th. I'm not trying to rush this through. I'm simply giving you information that I got from the auditor, that after the general election in this November, the only election that we can count on occurring is the next general election in 2025.
This was,
How is this related to our goals and objectives?
yeah, this was decided by the people, 15 years ago.
No, it was 2020, 2021.
No. Cause
What?
I remember, oh, no.
Because they fired remember that engineer, she got fired? That's 25 years ago, and I'm really tired of having every dentist I go to talk to me about how there's an absence of fluoride. Kids' teeth are in terrible shape. Low-income kids are a particular risk for this, and kids of every income class. Their mothers don't realize that there's no fluoride in the water.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. First of all, there's a lot of research, some of it anti-science, which I don't agree with, and some of it's science-based. I don't have any information on it. I'm a baker. Like, if you want to mess with the bakers and the brewers in the town, I mean, like, that really affects, we have award-winning water for a reason. So I'm not in favor of this.
Okay.
I think there's other programs.
1 or 2 counselors who are. I would work on it, but I don't want to work on it for the August 6th. Yeah, I think that's on, you have to wait another a year. Simply passing that on because
And
Information I had. Anybody
Okay.
else interested?
Curious to learn the legal process, but not for any sort of short time.
Okay, so Jane, you and I will, work with Kylie on this.
So, and by work with, what do you mean? As
Uh,
per rules and procedures?
Yeah.
Can you
as per rules
articulate?
and procedures.
Can you articulate the work that you need to do with Kylie on?
Draft the ballot measure.
I don't think that you have, as per that rule and procedure, I don't think that you have that authority. I think it's, you can pick her brain, but I think you need 3 people to sign on in order to draft an ordinance. So you can pick her brain and research with her, right?
Okay, anybody else interested in like fixing kids' teeth in Bremerton?
That's a manipulative way to say it, and that is not fair, so.
I'll fix it.
The court. All right, so.
Okay.
You got your 2 people to research. So that's, yeah.
My second thing is.
No, I'm gonna go to Denise. Go ahead, Denise, you had your hand up for good of the order?
Upcoming Harrison area renaming. We've been talking a little bit about this. Jeff Coughlin and I have kind of teamed up. We'd like a third to join us for what should be a really positive and uplifting resolution. Yeah.
What is it? Can you I already raised my hand, but I feel like I already might know what.
It's to rename the East Side Village
Yes, sign me up.
redevelopment area there. Okay. All right. Thank
As
you. We,
that-
yeah. History
No, we're
Museum
not.
put out a poll, and
Okay.
so
Sign me up for that.
it's fun. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I'll be your third to go along with you on that.
Thank
It's a really
you.
positive, wonderful thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Simple, fun resolution.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close this out of good of the order. Good of the order has closed.
One
So-
really quick one for good of the order, please read.
We have an executive session. If it,
It's really quick, I promise.
I
I'd
am,
like to commission a. por-
I am
portrait of
going to,
Roosevelt.
I'm closing us out
Okay.
for the order and we're moving to executive session. So what I'd love for you to do is send any information you have to City.Council and we can move forward from there.
That sounds very pleasant.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a 15-minute, council will now meet for 15 minutes to discuss potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110. 1I, no action is anticipated, but following the executive session, I'll return to officially adjourn the meeting. Okay, I don't know if I use the gavel, I'm gonna do it. Say gavel, but we're gonna go ahead and pause.
Recording stopped.
Would be fun.
Denise, you
Yeah,
can't
I'm
join
here.
executive session via this venue, so I'm gonna give you a call from my council phone.
Okay.
Will you be able to hear, hopefully you'll be able to hear okay? but
Yeah,
I
I'm sure it'll be
understand-
fine.
All right, I'll do
Okay,
that.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Recording in progress.
Okay, I call the study session back to order. Please note that the next council meeting will be on Wednesday, July 17th, starting at 5:30 in the first floor meeting chambers of the Norm Dix Government Center. The public is invited to attend in person or remotely, but anyone wishing to speak during public recognition via Zoom must submit their request to the city clerk by calling 360-473-5323 at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. This meeting is adjourned.